Don-O-Mite! Wednesday night Don-O-Mite!
So Dynamite.
This is awesome! This is this, this is that, this is this! Hey everybody, have a great time!
I'm not one of these f***ing goof podcasters out there. I am Don Tony, Wednesday night Don-O-Mite! Bro! Flannel! What's going on, everybody? March 25th, 2020. I am back, and this is your latest edition of Wednesday night Don-O-Mite. Hope everybody enjoyed NXT. Hope everybody enjoyed AEW. Shout out to everybody who is listening and tuning in live. What a week, man. I tell you, you look back 7 days, maybe 10 days if you really want to look at it in the overall perspective, but my God, how much has changed in 1 week. You know, it's funny. You know, last week, I think because of the shock, and look, we don't talk about Raw or Smackdown on this show. We dedicate this show for all of the other companies out there that unfortunately a lot of these podcasters out there who bitch and complain that Raw sucks and Smackdown sucks and AEW sucks and NXT is minor league, blah, 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 blah. But meanwhile, you have all of these other feds out there to learn. You think with all of these people that have all this extra time on their hands, you think they maybe give Impact Wrestling another shot. You think they'd go check out some old school New Japan. You think they'd check out Stardom or Shimmer or WOW or one of the other promotions, MLW, Ring of Honor. But no, they'd rather sit on Twitter all day and talk about the Benoit documentary. And I talked about it on Monday. My co-host Kev Castle and I. Did I just say what I... There are people out there that think that all of a sudden the name Kev Castle is a dirty word, that I can't say those two words. He's my co-host, goddammit. Sure, I have ventured out into other projects, doing other things. It doesn't mean that I dislike anybody else out there, my God. But we had a great debate Monday about the documentary with Benoit, and I'm going to talk about it Friday with Mish. I know Mish wholeheartedly disagrees with yours truly on what I said about the Benoit documentary. And look, I know the Benoit thing is not Raw or SmackDown, and I don't want to get into it over here, but I appreciate everybody who actually listened and looked at what I said and didn't just hear it, because I didn't say the documentary was bad. I didn't say it wasn't well produced. I didn't say that people should not see it. I just particularly didn't like it, and I gave you my reasons why. A lot of sympathy for women. I've said it for years and years and years and years and years. It pisses me off that the WWE will not put her in the fucking Hall of Fame. Everybody and their mother knows about what happened to her. Put her in the Hall of Fame, just like Miss Elizabeth and others. You know, sometimes people do perish from tragedy, not usually from murder, but that's not their fault. Don't fuck her over. But I also felt that it really tried to give closure to friends and family, and they deserve closure. Problem is, and this is something I will continue saying, I've been saying it for years and years and years, the only two people that know what happened that night and why it happened is Chris Benoit and God. Plain and simple. You know, people out there speculating, well, why did he have to kill his son? You know, he had his grandparents to take care of. You know, what did I say that same week that it happened? Maybe the son saw the whole thing, and maybe he didn't want his son to go through his entire life being tormented that his father murdered his mother. We don't know. We don't know. But I appreciate everybody who at least took the time to listen to, you know, my co-host's point of view on it, my point of view on it. It was beautifully done, but I also felt that they're trying to create closure to family and friends. And again, it just really bugged me that people were more angry at Kevin Sullivan than Chris Benoit. That's, nah. Anyway, I am up here because we have NXT to discuss. We had a debut today, and sorry, I don't mean to start shit with any podcasters out there or websites, but the tag team that beat up Matt Riddle, brow, are not black. You know, right away, talking about black wrestlers on social media. Why don't you do, that's the thing that amazes me. There's something called Google, Yahoo, Alta Vista. And for you perverts out there, DuckDuckGo. You know, not everybody uses it for that reason, but, you know, whatever. You know, who are these two? Do a fucking Google search right away. Tweet. Anyway, we had a debut. We got another teaser for Killer Cross, which is awesome. We had the confrontation with Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho. A little bit of a disturbing moment with Sammy Guevara not only kissing the picture of Brandy, but I don't know if it was kind of a, well, no, you know what? He's a Spanish god. He probably does use tongue. And I'm not in a Walmart right now, but if you could just picture this being a Brandy photo, or for that 26-year-old schmuck that was in the Walmart that decided to touch, you know, too many medicinal products. You know, Sammy was given the piece of oat tag tongue. It was funny, man. It was funny. Look, both shows were great today. Last week, when I did my ratings predictions, I said to everybody out there that I would be shocked if NXT drew over 600,000. This joke that they tried, and it was well produced, don't get me wrong. Right idea, wrong place to put it. 80 minutes of Gargano Ciampa, no. And it felt like smoke and mirrors. Look, now, and you got to understand something. Even Florida, things have changed in the last 7 days. DeSantis is finally starting to crack down a little bit harder than he should have. I know a lot of Florida is elderly and a lot of people like to retire and move to Florida. But, you know, just because you only have 20, 30 people who have died and it's only in this area, but meanwhile, you got planes coming in from New York. You got planes coming in from different areas. You don't think, especially where I live right now in New York, you don't think that people that have summer homes in Florida didn't the last 2 weeks say, fuck that, man, I'm going to Florida. And they may have had the virus and not even had symptoms yet. So now you got the order, 10 people, no more than that. Now Thursday, only essential workers out there. And people, once again, like I say, I was not trying to be a party pooper last week when I felt that, you know, pro wrestling is an entertainment company. It's not news media. It's not journalists. And if you have all this stuff going on in this world, you have actors, actresses, sports people, politicians, celebrities, everybody telling you, look, stay indoors. You know, you can't work right now unless you're an essential employee. I understand that pro wrestling wants to be the emotional Band-Aid of the world, but so do basketball players and hockey players and baseball players. You don't see a bunch of guys, you know, as long as it's under 10, maybe having a 5-on-5 basketball game, you know, just to maybe raise a little bit of money on social media. You don't see a one-on-one maybe doing, what was that basketball? For those that are tuning in live, what did we used to play? You know, when we didn't know how to play basketball and we sucked at, or we knew how to play and sucked at it, and you would play your friend one-on-one and you would shoot like a three-pointer from this area, and then if you got the ball in, you got to shoot another area and you would work around the court, and I think the final shot would be the three-point, if I remember. I used to do that. I used to lose all the time. Horse, thank you. Dells, Tung, horse. I used to play horse. I used to look like a horse. I still have a lot of weight to lose. You want to know something that's funny? I only started wearing flannel about 6 months ago. And the only reason why I'm wearing flannel tonight is because I felt so bad for my mom. I really have not interacted with my mom much over the last 10 days. I saw them last week, but we kept our distance. My mom had to go to the heart doctor today. And, you know, everything's okay. But the thing is that, you know, she called me and she said, everything was fine. I said, you know, did you wear a mask? No, I don't have any. Do you wear gloves? No, I only have the gloves those big yellow gloves are used to clean toilets. So literally, as AEW and NXT were about to start, I raced over her house, dropped off a 10-pack of masks because she's got to go to Walgreens tomorrow and this and that. And things were just so hectic because yours truly does insurance for a living. So I'm still working. I'm still in the office. And, it's really, really sad. And I'm still undecided if I'm going to play it. You can't see the person. You can only hear the person. You do see me sitting at my desk. But early today, one of my customers, Italian guy, was in my office and his cell phone rang. And he put it on speaker to see what it was. It was a relative in Italy. And as soon as he answered the phone, all you hear is crying. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker. You got to be kidding me. His brother died today. And he got the call in my office. And here I am trying to console him and everything. And my security cameras caught it. And I was like, should I show people how raw this stuff is? And the reason why I'm bringing all this up is that as much as these schmucks that you see, that still went to beaches and everything, you got to understand something. And I admitted this last Friday. And by the way, props to everybody who enjoyed last Friday's episode of the Don Tony Show. That was me getting very, very raw and very personal about a lot of things, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Friday is going to be awesome. Friday, and you know me, I don't normally celebrate it. Friday's my birthday, and what we decided to do is Mish and I are going to do a special episode of Breakfast Soup for everybody out there, not just patrons, everybody. It'll be on YouTube. We're going to start about 10:10 or 10:15 on Friday, and it's going to be a marathon. We're going to raise money, and we're going to divide those proceeds right in half and give it to charity. COVID-19 fund. And how we're going to do it is, as long as everybody keep sending in some type of contribution, we're going to keep going. So the show could go 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And when I say contribution, I don't mean $10, $20, $50, $100. We get like $2, $3 because what's cool about the Super Chat is that you could see every single penny that is being contributed. So once you take out deductions and fees and this and that, we'll put up the receipt of exactly what is donated. And Lee Friel is one of our patrons. He won a contest a couple of weeks ago. He said to me, he goes, DT, he says, take my prize and give it to charity. So he's going to be the first person on the list. So we're going to start Friday. We're going to celebrate my birthday. And the funny thing is, and I can't go inside and get it now because I don't want to give you just dead air, but that one chip challenge that everybody did where you cry and you complain and you bitch and it's hot and we got it. I got mine inside. Mish has his. And we were joking that maybe we'll just do it spur of the moment Friday, but I think we will probably want to hype that up a little bit. Maybe we'll do something next week for charity again, if Friday's successful. So, but thank you for the birthday wishes. I normally don't celebrate my birthday. For me, it's just another day, and it's been like that for a very long time. But since it does land on Friday, and since, it will also be the anniversary, technically a couple hours late, but March 26th is the anniversary that WCW went off the air. I always know because that night I celebrated my birthday and Nitro went off the air. I think yesterday was the anniversary that I went on Captain Ivan's podcast and made the prediction, heard around the world, that there was going to be a simulcast. As years go by, people are like, that's bullshit. That's urban legend. That's not true. Cool thing about it is Captain Ivan, still alive. Nelson Torres, WTF promotion, still alive. A lot of people that are listening, watching right now, still alive. And there were a lot of people that remember that night. And for those that don't know, and then we'll get into AEW and NXT. We got some news and a few other things as well. I definitely want to give props to a little bit of NWA and Impact Wrestling and a couple other things. But yesterday, or the day before, was the anniversary that it was announced that WWF, Vince McMahon, had bought WCW. And by the way, did anybody figure out tonight the Brodie Lee restaurant segment? Vince McMahon, for those that don't know, I guess I can mention it right now. Why not, right? That whole segment of Brodie Lee in the restaurant, again, some people out there, they don't do their research, and it gets revealed little ways. But Vince McMahon, a lot of stories been told about him over the years. Paul Heyman has talked about it with sneezing. Stephanie has talked about it with sneezing, about him liking ketchup on his steak. His steak, by the way, being ribeye, bone-in. And that whole segment today was a shot on Vince McMahon. Down to the fucking steak. Down to the steak. I loved it. We'll talk about it a little bit more on the recap today, but, you know, that was a good segment. I enjoyed that. You know, but, you know, I'm going out. Look, you know me. I talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. When we used to put up clips over here, it would be hard to try to figure out the starting point and the end point. TV Tracks used to go nuts with that. TV Tracks would be like, I want to put this clip up, but I don't know where to start and where to finish because you go off topic and this and that, whatever. But I got a question for everybody out there. When Brodie Lee hit his lariat finisher tonight on QT Marshall, who, by the way, is legitimately did have the hair plugs done. If anybody goes on my Twitter, at Don Tony D, and you see the picture I posted today with the old school hairy chest with Low Life Louis Ramos, that is before yours truly had hair stuff done as well. But did anybody feel the same way as me that right before Brodie Lee hit his lariat finisher on QT Marshall, that it was almost like a shout out to Bray Wyatt when he had QT Marshall on his leg and then hit his move? It was surprising how many people didn't say that at all. And Dick Adams, I know it's Richard Adams, we'll call him Dick for short. I'm not an AEW mark, all right? I know I probably would get a lot more likes and a lot more hits on social media if I bash things more. And I'm sorry if this pisses people off, but even though we got this coronavirus bullshit right now, I'm actually trying to enjoy myself and smile as much as possible. You know, I joked on this morning when I posted the video of me cleaning my office. I said, do I want to tweet or do I want to eat? You know, and the thing is that I'm not stupid. I see people out there that'll just write about every fucking negative thing around just to get attention on themselves. And it's like, I'm sorry, nobody out there should ever judge the character of a person or the generosity they have or the opposite based on how much is revealed on social media. You know, it is because anybody out there could type, hey, you know, found a box of these, went to my bodega and found these on the 18th shelf. And there was an old person walking by and, you know, I just felt so bad for them. So I climbed up the shelf like a gorilla and I pulled it down and I bought it for them. You know, 185 likes. That's why I always have praised Mick Foley since I was in puberty. And I say that exaggerating. If I had $1 for every time Mick Foley did a good deed for someone that never got any press or never got any attention or any, even knowledge, I'd be a millionaire right now. You know, everybody has to run the social media to just get that extra pat on the back and make themselves feel wanted or sympathy. Not my style, man. I see it. I'm not stupid. But I will, yeah, I call it straight down the middle. And I'm not saying this bragging. I can't tell you how many people in wrestling who have PM'd me or emailed me and said, look, I appreciate what you're doing. You call it straight down the middle. You know, you don't, you know, however you see it. And I've burned bridges that way. You know, I think it was John Draper who said a week or two ago that I'm ambiguous by the way I talk, you know, and I'm like, no, yours truly is not ambiguous. I just think that sometimes people think that there's ulterior motives. I tell you straight down the middle how I feel about things. You know, just unfortunately, some people out there, not him, I'm just saying just in general, people want to hear a certain narrative no matter what. And it is more popular and it is, you know, more attention when you rip on something. And I'm not kidding, man. I'm not kidding. What sucks about social media more than anything that prevents me from writing more is that people almost spit on you for having good things happen. You know, everybody's got to be suffering a coronavirus. And if you're actually trying to take chicken shit right now and turn it into chicken salad, it's like, fuck you. You know, that's what it is. People frown on good things. You know, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. No, Carmelo Draper's not a jabroni. You know, his comment about I've been waiting a long time for this. I'm still trying to figure out what that meant. But no, he's good people, man. He's just out looking for his family and friends, and he's going through issues too, man. You know, he's got that thing with the ear ringing in the ear and stuff like that. And you know, I could get his phone number, call him up, and play that really weird sound effect on YouTube that like drives people bananas. But man, that's tormenting, man. I had a friend of mine that had that ringing in the ear, and that shit, you know, it's not fun, man. So at the end of the day, you know, like I said, it's not selfish when I say I worry about me and my family first. That's not a selfish thing. That is just a fact. And I always try to turn chicken shit into chicken salad. And if it turns into chicken salad, I'm not going to keep calling it chicken shit. You know, for the simple reason because it gets more exposure that way. But anyway, let's get back to the other stuff. I was going to tell everybody about that anniversary with Nitro. Well, maybe later. And by the way, I know last Wednesday had a little technical difficulty with, I think, some video and some audio over here. I stood up till 5 a.m. editing stuff. Feels like 2 months ago, but it was 1 week ago. I changed cables around Friday. No issues whatsoever. Monday, no issues whatsoever. Tonight, hopefully, no issues whatsoever. So, you know, again, it's crazy as it sounds. I'm still only doing this a little over 2 months after 22 and a half years of doing audio only. So there's so much of a learning curve that I still have. But, you know, I'm always working to try to make things better. So, but anyway, let's talk a little bit about AEW. Let's talk a little bit about NXT. I know I'm jinxing myself, Brian. Something's going to go wrong today. And look, if it goes wrong, something goes wrong, what are we going to do? I mean, it's going to happen from time to time. But I will tell you this right off the bat. Last week with my ratings predictions, and I had talked about this Friday a little bit, I said last week that AEW would do 955,000 viewers. People thought I was nuts going that high. And I said point blank that I was going to be shocked if NXT did more than 600,000. I did not think NXT was going to do more than 600,000. I went out of my way and said last week that I was going to be extremely generous, even though I knew I was going to overshot it. And I gave NXT a prediction of 628. Well, rating came pretty close. I said AEW would do 955. They actually did 932. NXT, I said 628. They did 542. Let me tell you something. Even if WWE wants to convince everybody subconsciously, because they'll never really say it publicly, that they're not at war with AEW and they're not concerned about ratings, and USA Network is totally happy with the ratings. Trust me, it is a pride factor. Every single person who performs in NXT that is on that roster especially, it is a pride factor. There are wrestlers in NXT that are just confused as to why fans are not watching their product more. Now, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. And I'm a little shocked that these goof websites out there haven't turned that into a news article. You look at all the crazy shit CM Punk has said over the last couple of months, especially with The Miz and stuff like that. I think somebody literally brain dead with coronavirus to the umpteenth degree right now, even if they're on life support, would say,
Yeah, I don't think WWE really likes CM Punk too much right now.
You don't have to be a scholar to figure that out. But for NXT stars, don't misconstrue what I'm saying. They're not disrespecting AEW. They are just confused as to why more wrestling fans are not watching wrestling on Wednesday night. That's what it comes down to. See, even when we had the Monday Night Wars, and I lived through it, and that's probably one of the reasons, in fact, it is one of the reasons why I can give you an AEW and an NXT recap at the same time. NXT is a little bit easier to recap because you don't have a ton of different things all going on at the same night. Things are a lot more organized and sometimes to their detriment. But when I watched Raw and Nitro back in the day, I would watch the first hour of Nitro because it was usually unopposed. And then I would watch Raw and Nitro, and I would channel surf, and I'd watch both. Or I would watch Raw, and then as soon as Raw was over, I would go right back to TNT and watch Nitro because it would replay. Or this is amazing. It blows me away how many years it's been out now. But how many of you out there know what a TiVo is? TiVo was around at that time because somewhere in one of my boxes, I still have my original hard drive when I recorded the last Nitro on TV. I recorded it on my TiVo. So TiVo's been around for over 20 years already. So, from doing that and also doing a wrestling hotline at the time, I was always able to do both. But the one thing is, even when Nitro was at its worst, you add up the viewership. It was crazy how big wrestling was at that time. Of course, we know the contributing factors looking back on it, but Wednesday night for pro wrestling is not bad at all. Sure, NXT is more, of the up and comers, because trust me, I think I figured out tonight why I don't like Cameron Grimes all that much. But trust me, Cameron Grimes, if he was on the main roster, I don't think he would have any momentum whatsoever. They would have to do some gimmick about his body hair or something like that. There's some wrestlers in NXT that will never make it to the big time. That's just the way it is. And a lot of fans out there really, because of all of the years, when you're sports entertainment since the 80s and you're really sports entertainment, there's a reason why Ring of Honor never popped great ratings back in the day. But you look at a lot of the wrestlers who were on TV when they were competing or having their show before TNA or whatever it was. Pure wrestling and people who could do 4-star matches and 5-star matches, if you don't have a connection with the crowd or you don't have that, extra, thing about your personality or something about your look, something that just stands out, it's not going to work like it used to. See, thank God we've learned about steroids over the years. And sure, people knew how bad it was in the 70s and the 80s, but, we don't have the tragic pro wrestling deaths like we used to, thank God. Sure, there could be tragedies in all sports, and there could be tragedies again in pro wrestling. People dying way too young. You're still beating the fuck out of your body, even if you're not taking, enhancement drugs or painkillers. You're still putting an abuse on your body that was not made to be. You weren't born to take the kind of bumps and physicality, whether it's football or wrestling or anything else. So God bless all of these entertainers. But the fact that you don't have the number of larger-than-life characters like you used to, those superhero-type people. Now, the idea of a superhero is learning about somebody's military background, learning about somebody who survived bullying, learned about somebody who did this, and that obviously should be commended, respected. And by the way, for anybody out there who didn't see NXT yet, we had the debut of Tehuti Miles. He was known as Elijah King, I think, even back in Ring of Honor. He's only been wrestling for about 2 years, and he got destroyed today by Killian Dane. But you look at his background, man. He was a part of our military, and he almost died, I think, by a roadside bombing, or he was in Afghanistan. So, Tehuti Miles, and I think that's his real name, thank you for your service. That guy's a role model, obviously. But as far as pro wrestling goes, when you look at it on television, when a lot of people look like they could be serving your coffee at Starbucks, you've got to have something really, 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 really special about yourself to have that larger-than-life aura. And we don't have that like we used to. So, you'll never generate that fan interest like we did back in the 90s. It'll never happen again. But I also feel that when you see 3 million people or 2.8 million people, 2.6 million people watching pro wrestling on a Monday and a Friday, especially right now that so many people are forced to stay home, you ain't got no football. You ain't got no hockey. You ain't got no baseball, basketball. You got reruns. You know, you don't even have the president and press conferences at 9 o'clock at night. That happens earlier. And the fact that we didn't see a 400,000 viewer jump over the last week especially is really telling, in my opinion. And there's a lot of people that are very, and it's not that they left, Ben. Again, you look at Monday and Friday night, 2.5 million viewers. And then you look on Wednesday and it's like 1.3, 1.4. Seriously, and I don't mean to sound like an asshole right now. What the fuck are these other million doing? What are they doing? I mean, NXT and AEW is not enticing enough to watch it, especially in this time. That's telling. That's telling in a lot of ways. So, look, it's something that I've been saying for about 15 years now. You know, Monday Night Wars, you had the same sports on TV. You had political debates. You had tragedies. You had a lot of things going on. And yet people still preferred to watch pro wrestling than other things. Survivor, whatever it was. For the last 15 years, I've been saying the same thing. Fans just do not consider pro wrestling must-see TV anymore. Sure, you know, a lot of us, because we do shows, we cover things, we watch it, you know, to cover it. All of you tuning in and watching this, you obviously love pro wrestling. The fact that you're watching this episode, you enjoy AEW or NXT or one of the other non-Raw or Smackdown feds out there. But even when I look at the overall viewership of the shows that I do now on YouTube, or even when I look at the audio-only episodes, you know, the non-WWE episodes do have a little bit less of an audience. Friday's Don Tony show, between the downloads and the YouTube, was the highest viewed or listened to show that I have done in the last 3 years across anything that we've done. I mean, with the exception of a WrestleMania recap. And, you know, that's telling, especially that Friday was Shangada. But, you know, it's just where, that's just the age that we live in now. You know, I joked about Jeff Jarrett many years ago when he said there was a wrestling boom. It's not a wrestling boom. Started to, you know, feel a little bit with AEW's creation and debut last year that maybe you get some fans back. But when you look at the overall combined audience of AEW and NXT, and I agree, AEW could watch on replay. But again, you know, your advertising revenue is based on the primetime air date. It's not on a rerun. Of course, you get advertising revenue on reruns and social media and whatever you're showing it from. But that prime viewing, fans don't find it a top priority anymore. And it's going to take a very, very long time to get that back. Internet did not kill wrestling. Internet was around in 95. Internet was around in 99. Internet was around. My website's been around since 2000. You know, internet did not kill wrestling. It's just not must-see TV anymore. And WWE, you know, they went into the PSA era. You know, did I say the bipolar era a couple of years ago? But I quickly stopped using that term because I don't want to minimize bipolar, because, you know, you don't make light of it, because I do know people who are bipolar and still are. I actually, I might be revealing a little bit too much, but I went into the Navy when I was a teenager, 1988, got thrown out of my house. A lot of you know that story already. A lot of you don't know the rest of the story. All right. I went into the Navy and I had no choice. I had no place to live. And my uncle, you know, brought me to a recruiter. 1 week later, I'm on a plane on my way to Illinois. And I was in the Navy for about 3-4 months. And then I got my honorable discharge. And right before I came home, I got hit with the chicken pox. And I was in a fucking hospital bed. And meanwhile, in the other room, you had that SummerSlam where Miss Elizabeth was wearing the bikini and the yellow bikini, whatever it was. And I hear all these soldiers in the back. You're like, oohing and ahhing and everything. I'm like, fuck, I can't see it. I was forced to lay in a hospital bed eating ice pops because I had chicken pox. You know, then I came home and I saw the replay and, you know, Jit Joe Rag, rest is history. But the thing is that nobody ever asked me why I was able to get out after 3 or 4 months. I went into a major depression. And also when I went into the service, I was 307 pounds. And they blamed it on shin splints. And they also said that I had a personality disorder. And I think they even wrote down bipolar on my sheets. And trust me, I still have those discharge papers because technically, because I was in the service, I still have my life insurance policy from then. I never canceled it because it was very inexpensive. My parents are my beneficiaries if I die. But the thing is that I don't, you know, try to make light of it. Sure, I talk about people acting bipolar on social media because they'll rip the shit out of AEW or NXT. They'll rip it Wednesday night. They'll make all these one-liner jokes, or on Monday night especially, they'll rip and rip and rip and rip and rip. And then after they get all that tweet fucking and they vape and they're all, you know, calming down and the high is coming down, then the ultimate tweet comes. Oh, I just want everybody to succeed. At the end of the day, we're all wrestling fans. We all want to enjoy everything. That's fucking bipolar. You have this one personality, you know, and it's like heroin, you know. But anyway, enough of that. Should we talk about Nunu wants to know? You know what's funny? Nunu in the chat. That was my brother's nickname. My brother is 2 years younger than me. And when I was like 11, 12 years old, I used to tease my brother. My brother's name is Nicky. And I used to call him Nunu. All right. There was no Nene. I called him Nunu, N-U-N-U. And whenever he would like get upset, I'd be like, what's the matter, Nunu? And he'd be like, don't call me that. And he would start wailing like a baby. I used to call my brother Nunu. Nunu. True story. But Jit Joe Rag is, you know, you're alone. If you're a guy, kind of, you know, wish somebody was in your house with you. Same sex, opposite sex, whatever floats your boat. You know, nobody around. And, you know, you got a computer in front of you, pornxs.com. And I think you could. That's a Jit Joe Rag. What's the spinning wheel behind me for? We're going to be giving away prizes very, very soon. We're going to do trivia contests. We're going to do random things. And I got the wheel. It's got even my logo on it. And we're going to have like a little prize thing. So somebody gave me the idea that to get all of these, people want to see me cry. People want to see me get hurt, for real. Not viciously, but people are saying, go buy the gummy bear, that hot gummy bear. I already have the one chip inside. Get the chocolate, get the beef jerky, get the ramen noodles that I think, what's her face? Who's that woman used to be with, you know, was in ECW, WWE's ECW, Shelly Martinez. She did the ramen noodle challenge. And even though I'm keto, like everybody wants me to buy all of this insanely record hot stuff just to see me eat it here, sweat like a baby, maybe throw up and cry. So what we may do is we may actually put all of those painful things on the wheel, and whatever it lands on, I'm going to have to do one day. But that's going to be for contests down the line for the most part. But anyway, I've been rambling now for about 30 or 40 minutes. I know we had a little bit of filler tonight because there's not a whole lot going on in the world of pro wrestling. You know, everybody is pretty much canceled. Good for Ring of Honor, paying their wrestlers while, you know, they're not able to perform going into June. God bless a lot of other promotions stepping up. Rusev offering, I think, $20,000 to give towards, you know, wrestlers who are out of work as far as indie wrestling goes. you have a lot of, look, I talked about Mustafa Ali last Monday. Nobody wrote or talked about Mustafa Ali. They had to wait until he donated to another promotion to finally get press about it. There's a lot of people stepping up. However, a lot of people also need to understand this too. This is something that a lot of people need to realize. Take note of the companies out there or the wrestlers out there who do not file for any type of unemployment benefits or do not apply for some type of assistance, because a lot of these wrestlers do get paid off the books. When you hear about Ring of Honor paying their wrestler now, and this is a compliment right now, they're not employees. You know, a lot of wrestlers in AEW are not employees. And if their contracts, if they're not working, they're not getting paid. So you can't apply for unemployment for something like that. But the businesses out there who lost revenue because they couldn't go do what they did WrestleMania weekend, and they're talking about, you know, having to pay all this money back or this and that, you know, they can apply for a business loan. SBA for the government is going to be offering, they did this Superstorm Sandy, and I helped a lot of people get it at the time because I'm in the insurance business. But a lot of people out there could apply for an SBA loan, and the interest rate is almost nothing. The interest rate is so fucking low. My advice, and this is seriously for anybody out there that this applies to, wrestling promotions out there that are basically living off of plastic right now, paying their wrestlers for being out, paying, you know, losing money for events that they had to cancel. My honest opinion, apply for an SBA loan. You'll probably get approved unless you got some shady shit going on right now, or your credit is absolutely sewer. Get that loan, pay off those credit cards, cut that some bitch up, and pay the SBA loan back. You'll probably get 5-10 years to pay it back. Interest rate might be like 1%. And you can keep your company afloat. You could pay some of the people who work in your company, may not necessarily be on the books, but you could still give them something. So I know we're going back and forth, but Joey Dollars, yeah, no, the Carolina Reaper will be on the wheel too. Trust me. We're going to put the cat shit coffee on there as well. You all know about the cat shit coffee, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google cat shit coffee. There's some type of cat in some foreign country that they feed them coffee beans, and the cat eats the beans, and then the cat shits them out, and then they sterilize it, and then you brew it as coffee, and it's supposed to taste unbelievable. As crazy as that sounds, Mish is the one who introduced me about that. You could buy it on Amazon. It's like $35 for a cup. It's crazy stuff. So me, look, you know, anything that will not cause me to go to the hospital right now, because the hospitals are busy taking care of people who really need the help. And as long as I don't hurt anybody else, I don't mind having fun. I don't mind, you know, but yeah, no, that's a real thing. A lot of people right now didn't even know that. Go on Amazon. I don't think you probably would get a search result if you type in the word shit, but do a Google search, cat shit coffee, and see what comes up. Yeah, it's a Kopi Luwak, Kopiluwak. You know, yeah. So sounds like a wrestler from a different country. You know, introducing Kopi Luwak from blah 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 from the coffee grinds of anyway. For you NWA fans out there, NWA is trying to put some original footage or some material on their YouTube channel to keep you, you know, entertained in the meantime. They put up their event from January 5th, I believe, of last year, their pop-up event, New Year's Clash, that took place in Clarksville, Tennessee. Fun card. I watched it yesterday. Main event was Nick Aldis retaining the NWA title over James Storm. That is the infamous event where David Arquette, you know, teamed up with Tim Storm, beat Josephus. Spiritual advisor Josephus got his head shaved. Jazz was on that card, you may remember. So you could go on NWA right now. And another cool thing on their channel is they have a Q&A session with Nick Aldis. and it's a pretty entertaining Q&A. It's not your typical questions. He shows a lot of love to Bret Hart, tells some really fun stories. You know, Nick, I mean, look, who am I to say? I mean, I got three-tooth bridge. But, you know, Nick Aldis, if there was anything I could change about him, maybe fix his teeth a little bit. But guy is so classy. And you could tell that the guy is classy inside and outside the ring. Definitely go check it out. Their YouTube channel is pretty damn good. And by the way, and then we'll spend the rest of the episode talking about NXT and AEW. But Impact Wrestling, all right, I watched their episode yesterday. And, you know, again, this goes back to what I said earlier today. You know, it blows me away that you have these people who will only tweet fuck about WWE. Or they'll complain about AEW NXT and give nothing else a chance. Just the work that Father James Mitchell is doing right now is worth watching Impact Wrestling. I watched that last night. I could not stop laughing. It was so fun to watch what they're doing with Havoc and Su Yung and everything. It's not the type of entertainment that a lot of people could get into, but man, it's something alternative. And thank you, Carmela Falcone. I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much. I mean, at the very end of it, we see a cat, we see Abyss, and he's like, who booked this shit? Come on, man. How can you not just find that funny? I saw some reviews of last night's Impact, and people are just, dotting the I, like just really nitpicking about too much right now. Is Impact Wrestling anywhere near what they were a couple of years ago? No. I mean, Impact Wrestling, it's a shame, but I just can't see them ever getting that momentum. The fact that they're recording, and by the way, I got this picture over here. I might as well put it up here now. They're advertising next week on March 31st. Well, actually, no. Yeah, that is next week. March 31st, they're going to do TNA. Remember I talked a couple of weeks ago that they were going to do this special show on AXS that was going to lead into WrestleMania weekend? And I said, Impact Wrestling, you want to talk about yesteryear? Focus on the fucking people that are in your promotion now, and don't focus on AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and the one time this wrestler was here. Put the fucking people that are around you now. Put some old school. Well, I'm not saying that they listen to me, because then nobody listens to me. Even though I said last week and the week before that WWE should take NXT TakeOver, since it's going to be canceled, record the matches, and air them on Wednesday nights. How many times did I say that over the last 10 days? Well, then we found out today that that's exactly what they're doing. And that's very smart on WWE's part. And when I get into the recap later, there's one match that's going to air in 2 weeks that I don't care if it goes a half an hour. I think it'll be a hell of a lot of fun. But Impact Wrestling now talked about the one night only, the TNA with the legends and stuff like that. And, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I'll let everybody know that if you remember, unfortunately, March 6th or March 7th, I think it was, when Scott Steiner collapsed during the Impact Wrestling tapings in Atlanta, Georgia. Some of the matches that you're going to see on this special for Impact Wrestling March 31st are going to be from that weekend. So when you see this promo now about Scott Steiner, coming back and, doing this uncensored stuff, that is from that weekend. So look, Scott Steiner is doing better. I know some of you out there might feel a little bit uncomfortable, like, oh my God, they're going to air stuff right before he collapsed. He's doing better, but that is the time period that you're going to see. But again, if you really want to know the spoilers of the matches that are going to air, just do a Google search. You could look for February and March's Impact results, and you'll get the match results of what you're going to see. It doesn't look like a bad card. Seeing Kid Cash come back, teaming up with Johnny Swigger is fun. Scott Steiner, thank God he's doing better. He's always entertaining on the mic. We're going to see Rhino. There's going to be a few others. Even last night when we saw Impact Wrestling, Rosemary's in a bar and Raven makes a cameo once again. I think Raven lives around the area where they recorded a lot of this stuff. In fact, wasn't AEW in Atlanta, Georgia when Raven was shown sitting in the crowd as well? So, why did he collapse? Heart. It's heart, man. It's scary shit. Scary shit. I hope, even if he makes a 185% recovery, I know why people will know why I said that, 146% recovery, I still hope, as much as he may still love it, I still hope that Scott Steiner maybe considers retiring from the ring. I know Jerry Lawler, God bless him, he was able to come back and son of a bitch could still wrestle at his age, but I don't know the personal, doings of Steiner and Jerry Lawler. It's only what I see and read and stories you hear people tell. Something tells me that Scott Steiner may have done a little bit more harm in his body internally than Jerry Lawler did. And I don't mind Scott Steiner cutting promos and making appearances, signing autographs, taking pictures, and having fun that way. I don't know how he would work as a manager, but I hope his in-ring career is pretty much over. I would rather hear Scott Steiner rip Triple H or WWE for 20 years from now, than to have him still wrestling and find out about a tragedy. I don't want to see him shit on Triple H, but you know what I mean. But anyway, so if you want to go check that out, like I said, with the Impact Wrestling, you could go check out the spoilers. Now, couple of issues about AEW. First off, Matt Hardy's contract. Matt Hardy doing a lot of interacting on social media as he always does. He did reveal that he can work some New Japan Pro Wrestling in as long as it doesn't interfere with any appearances with AEW. Remember what I said in December, that 2020 was going to be the year of commingling between promotions. Tonight, we had Kenny Omega defending his AAA title against Sammy Guevara. Awesome match, by the way. 25 minutes. But you're going to see a ton of commingling. You see it in NWA. You see it in Ring of Honor. You see it, Impact Wrestling to an extent. AEW, I agree with a lot of people out there. They don't need to commingle. They don't need to, piggyback off of any other promotion. They got the viewers. It's a little different with AEW because AAA, it's not like AAA could cause a ratings dilemma for AEW like they're competing with them on United States television. We know about the history with New Japan and AEW and all that talk as far as them, not agreeing to do any business with each other. We still don't even know if Jericho is going to appear on a New Japan event this year, but Matt Hardy wants to, and that was put in his contract. And I think little things like that give a better chance that AEW may do some work with New Japan down the line. Trust me, especially 6 months from now, right now we think Moxley may have a little bit of, feuding with Jake Hager. I don't know how people feel about that. Funny thing is, and I didn't have time to do research today, I wonder if Swagger, when he was Jack Swagger, I wonder if Swagger and Ambrose ever fought. I remember Swagger going at it with Rollins a little bit. But again, I didn't have the time to do the research today, but I honestly cannot remember a Jack Swagger versus Dean Ambrose match in WWE. So I don't know if they've ever faced each other before or not. I don't mind seeing it, but, once you have Moxley, he's done with Jericho. He goes with, Hager now. I mean, after 6 months, you got to come up with some really good opponents. Brodie Lee might be one. So if you have a little interaction with some New Japan, they got some pretty kick-ass talent in that promotion. So we'll see. But anyway, Just so people know, because I know a lot of you across the United States do, try to appear, attend an AEW event. The New Orleans event that was scheduled for May 6th, that has been postponed until December 2nd. Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm looking at these firsthand right now. They were supposed to have an event May 13th. That has been postponed until December 30th, Santa Ana Star Center. Houston, Texas. The event that was supposed to take place April 29th, that has been postponed until November 4th. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, AEW was supposed to have an event April 22nd. That has been postponed until July 29th. So I do know that some of you out there live in those areas, so you might want to just make a note of that because those are rescheduled. Now, where they appear in place of it, who knows, man? They may end up, having to be in Florida, for the next couple of weeks. They may have to do best ofs. Again, I don't see nothing wrong with AEW 1 week doing a best of. Look back at the 6 months in review. Post some of the... My God, not everybody bought Revolution. And look, I'm a fan of Meltzer. I subscribe to his newsletter. I like Brian Alvarez. I have no problem with either one of them. I'm one of the rare ones that likes Meltzer and Vince Russo. But has anybody out there ever heard of the Revolution buy rate from Meltzer or Alvarez? I haven't heard it yet. I have no idea what the buy rate was. Here's my point. A majority of AEW fans out there did not order Revolution. What could their buy rate be? 100,000? The fact it hasn't been revealed yet, since it's not a publicly traded company, I guess they don't have to reveal it. Trust me, if that number was unbelievable, I personally still think AEW Revolution should have been the biggest selling AEW pay-per-view to date. But who knows what the buy rate is. But let's even go on that idea and say it was the best selling buy rate in its history, 170,000. That is still a fraction of the viewers that tune in to wrestling on a Wednesday night. You throw that Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega Hangman Page match. You wanted to do Gargano Ciampa for 99 minutes last week or whatever it was. Trust me, if AEW puts that tag match on Dynamite and airs it with like 2 commercial interruptions, it's not going to draw flies. It's going to get a pretty decent rating. So, we'll see. But now with this, essential services only in Florida, wouldn't surprise me, man, if Moxley, and we probably won't know, but it won't surprise me if Moxley and Hager maybe had a match tonight that is going to be recorded for next week. Wouldn't surprise me if some of the people who were in attendance today did double duty and wrestled earlier in the night or wrestled later on in the night, and, we see it next week. So don't be surprised if we find out that numerous matches were recorded tonight to air next week, because once Thursday comes, that might be it for a week or two. Might be it for longer. So if you want to get away with another week with matches and then this stay-at-home order is in place and they really can't do what they wanted to do, then maybe in 2 weeks you do a best of. Hell, I know they're not going to do it, but air a good portion of Revolution 2 weeks from now. WWE wants to put NXT WrestleMania, because look, I'm not saying this bragging, but a lot of my suggestions do end up happening. Not that they're listening, I just think that a lot of you and me have great minds. WWE announced tonight in 2 weeks, Gargano, Ciampa, empty building. Triple H is going to find an empty warehouse. He's going to find a ring. He's going to put a ring in there, put a referee in there, and they're just going to brawl until there's a winner. So you advertise it in 2 weeks? All right. Maybe 2 weeks from now, AEW, you air the Revolution match. Just an idea, just a suggestion. So anyway, AEW tonight, we have Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Jim Ross, home. I don't think anybody should start rumors just because people home, and I said this 10 days ago. Performing is optional for either Fed right now. Just because somebody's staying home and quarantine themselves does not mean that they are infected with it. People jumped the gun, and I don't want to name individual names because I don't want to start any controversy. But we know some people for WWE and AEW who chose to stay home the last week or so because a lot has changed over the last week, and they are afraid. They don't want to take the chance and get sick, so they stay home. Just because they quarantine themselves does not mean they are fucking infected. So until somebody goes out public and says, listen, everybody, I tested positive for coronavirus and, I'm seeking, I'm staying home and everybody stay home as well and this and that. It's the idea that oh my God, what about everybody else that's going to be there? Trust me, if somebody in WWE tested positive, I guarantee you all the other wrestlers probably know about it by now. And look, it's not flattering to test positive for a disease or a virus, no matter what it is. So you're not obligated to tell the world if you got sick. All I'm saying is that unless someone tells you that they tested positive, I don't think it's smart, and I don't think it's respectful to assume it and tweet fuck it and tease it and this and that unless you are 100% sure and you heard it from the same person's mouth. So you see some people home, oh my God, Jerry Lawler wasn't at Raw Monday. Yeah, because it's optional. Things have changed. There's a lot more infections than there were a week ago. The curve has not happened yet in the United States. People are worried now about a lot of people who were in New York and said, fuck it, I'm out of here. And they went to different areas. So people are like, you know what? Let me just stay home for 2 weeks. It's not rocket science. It's not controversial. And it's not, anything that some people stood home. Jim Ross, he's older, stay home. We didn't see Tully Blanchard, in the building to him. By the way, we didn't have anybody at ringside. This was more of because of the 10-person limit. Could AEW have had MJF at ringside? Absolutely. Could they have been betting like with Sean Spears like last week? Of course they can. You add up all the people that were in that building, in the arena at the same time, they could have done it. They chose not to do it because of the visual. Again, not everybody is praising AEW and WWE for continuing with wrestling when everybody else who wants to entertain is forced to stay home. So they don't want to abuse, the fact that just because they say 10 people can get together doesn't mean that you should have 10 people getting together. It's like, okay, can I have a cookie? Yeah, there's the cookie jar. Take whatever you want. That doesn't mean you eat all the fucking cookies. You take one. You take two. So AEW was being cautious. Although there were a couple of things tonight. I posted one. I thought about the other. Say what you want. I tell it like it is. Jimmy Havoc gets on the mic, the headset. He's giving the bad mouth to Cody. And he puts the headset down. I joked on social media, sterilize that son of a bitch. Sanitize that shit, Tony. Because you got Jimmy Havoc. Nobody's saying he's got coronavirus. And trust me, I'm sure everybody had their temperature checked. You don't need a test from WHO, or the CDC. You could check people's temperatures to see if there's any warning signs. Who knows? Maybe somebody did have a little bit of a temperature and they said, okay, you stay in the hotel. But Jimmy Havoc gets on the headset, puts the headset down, and I'm saying, okay, sanitize it. Seriously. Now, I don't think anybody else used that headset. Now, I don't remember anybody using it, but still. But the one thing that I noticed after was, I don't know if anybody caught onto it, but Jimmy Havoc put his fingers in Cody's mouth, and they got sweat going back and forth, and I think Cody kissed Brandy after the match was over. So again, this is kind of stretching it, but little things like that, it's just, you notice those things, especially with coronavirus right now. You know, you see that. You know, I mean, Jimmy Havoc has his hands in Cody's mouth, you know, given the aura that he's ripping out his tongue, which he's not. But then Cody kisses Brandy. And, right, it's just, like I said, right now, you got to be careful, man. And that's why I think New York is so fucked right now, because of the subway system more than anything else. You're in a closed area, and you're all using the hand, things and the seats and all this other stuff, and it's such a combined area. And you got these people, like I said, as crazy as this sounds, but I was talking about it last week. Right now I don't have it. I went to my doctor on Monday because I had to renew some sleep medicine. No temperature, blood work. I got the results today. I'm fine. They didn't test for coronavirus, but I had nothing elevated, nothing to worry about. But the thing is, let's say I got sick today and I don't even know it. All right. I saw 3 customers today. After the 3 customers, I went to the deli. I bought myself a bottle of Pellegrino water. Love this shit. Sorry for those on audio only that had to hear that little silence. I ain't editing it out. I'm a video guy now. Some people just can't accept that. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to screw anybody over, but that's just the way it is. But this stuff, Pellegrino water, is awesome. Love it. Big club soda fan. But anyway, I went to the store. I bought a couple of things. I had a few people right next to me. Now, you think about it. Now, I came across probably about 7 people today. Now, I went to my mom's, but I had a mask on and I have gloves on because I'm not taking no fucking chances with my parents. I told my mother straight out. My mother's like, come on, come here. She wanted to give me a hug. I'm like, no. My mother gets sick. She would, especially with the pig valve that she has now, and she's got the heart condition. I'm not going to have that guilty conscience that I might have put my mother in the grave because I was careless. But you think of all the people that even one person today, if I got it and I gave it to one person, that person goes home to his wife and they have dinner. And then tomorrow he goes to the fucking post office and to buy stamps. And he comes or will get in contact with 2 or 3 people. Then that person, you see how one person could fuck everything up? That's why when I joke about the thing with, Jimmy Havoc and putting the fingers in the mouth and kissing Brandy and this and that, trust me, they're going to come across people, cameramen, wrestlers, this and that, and you could see how quickly, because I'm not saying that the chances of them spreading anything is probably none. Very, very few. And I guarantee you they were sanitizing repeatedly today. But still, just little things like that, you got to be fucking careful about, So, especially when these guys are wrestling and you're in Florida, there's perspiration everywhere. I mean, even if you're 6 feet away, you slap someone, you fucking see sweat flying everywhere. Cedric Alexander, he's got this giant bowl of spit on Monday. Every time I get the call, no one reacts to me at all. Every time I get the call, no one reacts to me at all. Just felt like doing it. So, but I will say this. Cody was awesome on the mic tonight. I'm going to use a word that he used. His fucking vernacular was spot on. Some of the things that he said about Darby Allin and others, if you actually just take a step back, it's like, come on, that doesn't even make sense. But Cody was just excellent on the mic today. You don't have to be a polished commentator to have it on the mic. And he talked and flowed, of course he's not a good fit for an every week basis. But he was great. The thing I liked about him the most today, since he is a fellow wrestler, and since he has wrestled a lot of these wrestlers, and since he has teamed with a lot of these wrestlers, when he's talking about them, he's got hands-on approach with them. So when he says certain things, even though, trust me, Darby Allin puts a headlock on Kip Sabian today, and Cody is saying like, oh, that's cauliflower ears. 10 years from now, Kip Sabian. Come on. Seriously, I don't even think Darby Allin would squash a grape with his headlock in storyline. But it just sounded, it flowed in his vernacular. Excellent today. Some people didn't like the Star Trek references. It's not a big deal. Again, first millennial promotion. You know where it got annoying, and I'm just going to bring it up old school. When I was watching Raw in like 1993, I think it was, when Rob Bartlett is the worst wrestling commentator of all time. Sure, you could bring up one-off appearances, that fucking football player, what's that guy's name? All I got to say is football player, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Don't say Mongo, I don't mean Mongo, but he did one commentating stint with Gorilla Monsoon on a pay-per-view, and he was horrendous. I'm not talking about somebody who shows up one or two times and just totally fails. Rob Bartlett was on week after week after week, and this guy was so goddamn terrible, and he would throw all these references. Was Mike Adamle a commentator? Seriously, he was the GM for the most part. Did he ever interact with Gorilla Monsoon? I don't think so. Gorilla Monsoon was already, I think, passed away. Come on, he's a legendary football player. He was with I think it was the Royal Rumble or Art Donovan. Thank you. And props to two. Art Donovan. That fucking guy was terrible, but it was just like a one-off. Rob Bartlett every week trying to use pop culture references. Mauro Ranallo does it right. Rob Bartlett, I don't think Vince McMahon understands how much people wanted to turn off Raw in the 90s when Bartlett was on for that extended period of time. He was fucking terrible. The worst wrestling commentator in the history of pro wrestling that did it more than a couple of times. But, I don't mind references to pop culture. Tonight it was a little bit of Star Trek. It did not bother me at all. Yeah, Adamle probably did some spot commentary, but he wasn't there as a commentator. That's what I meant. Bartlett was there as a commentator. That guy sucked. Seriously, he sucked. The worst. The bitter taste in my mouth right now from that guy. Oh, man. But anyway, we had the opening match. We had Cody. He had a decent match with Jimmy Havoc. It was fun. Jimmy Havoc, I think, was 3-0 going into it, so this might technically be his first singles loss in AEW. Fun match. We didn't have, like I said, the wrestlers at ringside. Instead, we had them in, like, the dressing room or in a hotel room, betting, probably dressing room, doing some gambling in the back. You even had that female announcer that was there at some point, and it was fun. Billy Gunn was there. And by the way, Billy Gunn was on AEW's podcast last week. I watched about half of it, liked what I saw so far. If you want to go check it out, very, very down to earth. I think the Young Bucks will be on this week if you want to go check it out. I like their podcast. In fact, I think now you see, this shows you how comfortable I am about my shows. I'm not worried about losing viewers. I know a lot of you out there enjoy a lot of other podcasters out there that are on the same time I am. You want to tune into them live? I'm cool with that. I don't take it personal. But I think starting tonight, watch all the numbers go down right now. And by the way, if you like what you're watching right now, do me a favor. Again, this doesn't cost anything, and now I'm starting to understand how important it is. Just hit the like button. Because, it helps me get a little bit more exposure on YouTube. And trust me, I think some people out there are waiting for me to say, this is kind of not working out or it's old and I'm just going to go back to audio only. Trust me, saying it once and I'm saying it again. This is the final step on my ladder of doing this stuff. All right. if this doesn't work with the videos and stuff I'm done completely. And trust me, I don't plan on it failing. We're almost at 83 or 8,400 subscribers in less than 3 months. Absolutely appreciate every single one of you out there that have subscribed. And, I'm just starting. So I'm just getting my feet wet right now. I'm just breaking my cherry. You give it another year and we'll see how everything is going. But tonight, I think AEW started doing a podcast after the show goes off the air. I think Taz may be hosting it. Now, that is very smart, especially if Taz is home tonight, because Taz has the equipment and the capability. Wonderful podcaster, obviously, professional. So them doing a podcast with Taz, it's almost like, you're planning a special night with your girl, and you come home and there's like a really wonderful dinner waiting for you, and she took a shower and she shaved her legs, and I'm just talking because I'm heterosexual. If you're the same sex, I totally respect that. And then not only did she put on lingerie, but decided to buy new toys, sanitize them. You get a little bit extra, you get just a little bit extra bonuses you weren't planning on getting. So that's what it's like. But anyway, my birthday is going to be fun Friday, because my girl should be blowing out the pink candle, and instead I'm going to be on YouTube with all of you. Because trust me, once the show is over, whatever it ends, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, after it's done, I'm going to bed. I ain't no spring chicken no more. I'm tired. In fact, I was trying to get the show done a little bit early today, because I was like, a lot of promotions didn't have much as far as shows, but no, I'm not that old, Carmelo. Come on, man. I'm not that old. But anyway, let's get back to AEW. Let's talk a little bit more about the show today. We had, the match with Havoc was fine. One move that kind of irked me a little bit. There was one time where Cody jumped off the middle rope, side of the ring, did the cutter on Jimmy Havoc, and Jimmy Havoc was kind of waiting for it. Little things like that. To me, it's not the end of the world. I enjoyed AEW tremendously today. There's a saying that I always use, less is more sometimes. And they did not have to go crazy with 5-star matches tonight to be entertaining. The Jake the Snake Roberts promo. Now, it looks like we will have Lance Archer next week on Dynamite. Jake Roberts, obviously it was filmed, where they filmed the other vignette with Lance Archer destroying those guys in the backyard by the forest, and this one is done at night. Jake Roberts looks like a little campfire, talks about how, Caesar, created AEW, no phone call from Cody to Jake or Lance Archer, this and that. And he basically says, Cody, give us one shot. And he even said, they challenged him to go where they are, bring old man. And the funny thing is when Jake said, bring the old man, I don't know if it was just me, I try to pay attention to everything. When Jake Roberts said, bring the old man, and you had that pause for a couple of seconds, did anybody out there almost feel like he may have inadvertently meant Dusty Rhodes and then realized, oh, wait a minute, Dusty is dead? In fact, I know it sounds fucked up, but I would have popped tonight if Jake would have said, bring the old man, and then said, oh, wait, he's dead. You know what I mean? I know it sounds fucked up because Dusty was so beloved, and I get that. This is pro wrestling. It's entertainment. Sometimes you got to say some outrageously bad stuff to get somebody even more over as a heel. But no. See, Shazzy, you're not thinking clearly. He's like, oh, no, he didn't say Dusty because it was a tape promo. What the fuck does that mean? Of course it was a tape promo. But the point is that even when he was a tape promo, when he said, bring the old man, he stopped for a second, and it felt like, I think he was probably thinking Dusty Rhodes, and then he said Arn Anderson. It was a little, no, I don't think you needed to edit. That's the thing. They didn't need to do and they probably did edit some of it. But my, and Joey, the answer is no. But my favorite part of the whole promo was the very end. When he went old school and he said, trust me. Come on. I just growing up as a kid with the whole I trust you, Snake Man. Just everything with Jake Roberts and trust me with the snake. Obviously, at his age right now, you're not first of all, Cody is not going to put himself in such a naive storyline where he starts trusting Jake and then Jake turns on him because you never trust the snake. That's a storyline that doesn't need to be revisited. But that's more like, to fucking not trust me. So, but I loved it. It was a great promo. Excellent. And then you had Shivani and Cody at the announcer's table. Cody went back to the announcer's table after his match was over, and he revealed that it seems like Lance Archer will be wrestling next week. Now, I hope he doesn't fight Chico Adams. Nothing against Chico Adams, but yeah, it's just like, all right, just throw someone in there. Chico Adams getting destroyed by Jake Hager. I know I'm going a little out of place, but I can mention it. Jake Hager winning a quick match. Moxley appears. He gets into it with Hager a little bit. It feels like it's leading to a match between Hager and Moxley. They may have even announced it today when I went in here to prepare for the show. But again, I'm not sure if Ambrose and Swagger ever faced each other in WWE. I don't know. I don't remember. And even if they did, I don't remember anything great and I don't remember anything bad. So I don't mind seeing that. I don't mind seeing it. Jake Hager has been fine since he's been back. He actually is shown quite a bit. But, Chico Adams, sayonara. Darby Allin versus Kip Sabian. Again, Cody's commentary was excellent. Darby Allin is going to be a major star. I wish AEW would announce a secondary title. Even if you want to do a tournament, get a secondary title. Not saying that Darby Allin has to be the champion of it, but, you need a title that Guevara can go for, that Darby Allin could go for. Some of these second-tier, third-tier wrestlers can go for. Moxley is the champion, I'm fine. Jericho is the champion, I was fine. But you need a secondary title. Omega and Hangman Page, because of that storyline, there isn't that much going on with the tag team division right now. Sure, we're under special circumstances, so you're not going to see, titles defended like they used to, but that secondary title is needed. Seriously. Even if Darby Allin was like a television champion or something, I don't think anybody would say, oh, he's way too young. You need these. And the funny thing about it is that having a title is a storyline in itself. Two people wanting to go for the same title, storyline, boom, easy. You don't have to come up with all these other, things to lead up to it. That was my rant about TNA. And kind of depresses me because I remind myself how many years I've been doing this stuff. But when TNA came around, anybody remembers the early episodes of Breakfast with Blassie, TNA, make a secondary title. What the fuck are you doing? And they finally they came out with secondary titles, tertiary titles, blah, 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 blah. AEW needs a secondary title. AEW, if you're listening or watching, just start hyping up a tournament down the line for some type of title. I know a lot of you out there are going to see MJF's ring. That's not a title. That was like a trophy. That is a prize. You don't defend the ring. And who the fuck wants to see somebody fighting over a ring? In fact, I expect a storyline down the line with somebody, not obviously the actual one, but just like Austin and The Rock, somebody's got a feud with MJF and be shown on a pier in Florida or somewhere and throwing that fucking ring into the ocean. That's what's going to happen to that ring and storyline, in my opinion. Somebody's got to throw that shit in the ocean. Seriously, But the problem with a secondary title is if you want to focus on people like Guevara or Allen, and I use those two because those two I think would benefit with some type of a title right now. You see today, again, Omega defended his AAA title. That was fine. The match with Guevara was great. But how much better would it have been if it was an AEW title? And if there was it's just I think they need a secondary title. The problem is, do you want it to focus on cruiserweights, or is it just like an IC title or a US title? See, that's the thing. When we had NWA TNA, and then later TNA and then Impact Wrestling, when they had the X Division title, anybody remember this? Who was the first person that, and props to anybody listening live that picks this out, because I remember it clearly. Who was the first person to compete for the X Division Championship that when they announced this person fighting for the X Division Championship, we all shit all over it like, why is this guy fighting for an X Division title? This X Division title is for the smaller guys, the younger guys, the Elix Skippers, the Christopher Daniels. Anybody remember who it was? It was not Abyss. Yes, Carmelo. Carmelo's on the ball tonight. Samoa Joe. When Samoa Joe, and I this podcast of me back then when they announced it, it just felt so out of place that this big guy is fighting for the X Division Championship. Now, you look back on it, you'd be like, my God, look at all the great X Division champions. Samoa Joe fit right into it. It was the perception that TNA had for so long about that X Division title featuring the small guys, that when you had a regular sized person, or a bigger man fighting for it, it just didn't feel right. So the big question that AEW needs to figure out is, do you want that secondary title to focus on the smaller guys, or is it one step below the heavyweight title? There's a big difference there. A big difference. Elix Skipper was awesome at that time, man. My house. Anyway, Jim Ross tweeting earlier during the match, Darby Allin reminds him like a young Sting, early Jeff Hardy. I think Cody said the same thing about Sting. Now, I remember Sting coming up, even when they're talking about after teaming up with Warrior. Darby Allin reminds me nothing of Sting back then. Ow! That's horrible. I've never done that before. Seriously. Even when I was hunting for wolves, which I've never done. I've never done this Sting thing till now, and now you know why. Darby Allin, if anything, especially his vignettes, it reminds me of a combination of Jeff Hardy because of his size and his athleticism, and Raven. When Raven used to cut the promos of being in the Bowery. That's what it feels like. It feels more of a combination with that. I don't know where the Sting reference comes in other than face paint. Yeah, I will not be doing that again. I could do Vince and I could do Strowman and a lot of others, but I ain't doing Sting. No, thank you. I'll just do Sting when he was the Crow. Anyway, getting back to it. So they're making the references to Sting. You ruined it, damn it! You ruined it! Speaking of something that was not ruined today, Brodie Lee in the restaurant. As Cody said, social Darwinism by Brodie Lee. That entire segment was a big FU to Vince McMahon. John Silver, Alex Reynolds. Again, look, God bless a couple of the misinformed or lazy websites and podcasters out there that never research anything. They think doing a quick 5-second Google search, I can now put a smart tweet up. Everybody, there was so much that they were taking shots at Vince McMahon, from the attire, down to the steak, down to the ribeye bone in with ketchup, down to the sneezing. Basically, Brodie Lee, no one else could eat until he eats first. They had filet mignon. He had a bone-in ribeye. He had ketchup. They're sitting there. They're watching him. One of them eats. Brodie Lee kicks him. How dare you eat? You wait till I'm finished. The other guy, who obviously cannot act for shit, he's like, he just sneezes on his food, which that was just ridiculously bad. I mean, at least attempt to cover it up or, use a tissues. It was just like, it was just a terrible acting, but it was funny. So I didn't mind it at all. But he sneezes. Brodie Lee flips out, throws him off as well. Are you kidding me? And this and that. So again, if you do some history, even Stephanie has talked about it, and Paul Heyman especially too. Vince McMahon, you sneeze. I think Stephanie said that Vince doesn't like sneezing because that's one thing he can't control. It's more of a sanitary thing as well. But that entire segment today was a shot at Vince McMahon. I don't think there was anything wrong with it. A lot of those stories are out there, and it was very creative. The only thing is that are you going to continue with Brodie Lee being like a Vince? Now, sure, he's not going to go out there, "You're fired." He's not going to do that to the Dark Order. But if you're going to do this and he's going to be like a cult leader, like Daddy eats first before everyone else, this has got to follow up in the ring. And he can't pretend to be Vince McMahon with the click in other segments. He can't keep taking the shots. You want to do it with the restaurant, it's fine. But this has got to be like cult. Now, remember what I said a couple of weeks ago, that you're going to see some members of the Dark Order out of there. You're going to see this change around a little bit. The big question is, what is Brodie Lee going to be? Is he going to be like a David Koresh, or is he going to be like a Vince McMahon? And I think today was just them taking more shots at Vince than anything else, but I loved the little nuances down to the type of steak. The type of steak probably made me pop more than anything else, because they nailed every little detail about Vince. There's a lot more stories out there, but now they need to focus on Brodie Lee being this cult leader. It was pretty funny to see, them in the restaurant and Alex Rutledge, John Silver. Did you notice? Now, I know some people are left-handed, so I'm not saying that he did it on purpose, but who was, I think it might have been John Silver, when he had the fork and the knife in his hand, he had it reversed. I think, and I'm not sure if he's left-handed. It's just something I noticed tonight. I thought maybe he just didn't know how to cut his steak and stuff like that, but I thought it was excellent. Very, very fun segment. Then we had Brodie Lee make his AEW wrestling debut. Look, they didn't mention Luke Harper, but Cody said, he knew him as a different name, but he wanted to see what he was going to do in AEW. That, Brodie Lee had not wrestled for a while. Beat QT Marshall in about 3 minutes. QT Marshall, the funny thing is that I had hair stuff done. I don't know, it was about 8 years ago, around there. And, when I had it done, it's very painful. They literally cut the back of your scalp, and they take all of your hair follicles, they keep it in alcohol or some type of chemical for a period of time, like a half an hour, so the follicles don't die. And then they literally transplant it one by one to where you need it. Now, my hair's all messed up right now, so I really can't show you now. But maybe Friday I'll go hatless. But if you look at any of my other pictures right now, and you look at the one that I posted on Twitter today, you'll see the difference. My hair got very thin over here, so they filled those areas up. That shit was painful. But the one thing that happened was when I washed my hair for a couple of weeks, you could not put direct water pressure on it. You had to gently, lightly pat things down, because those hair follicles were implanted. They have to attach and then grow. So QT Marshall, still being in that stage where he's in the ring really surprised me because, sure, there's no hair to grab onto, but, just he could have fucked up, his recent job. And trust me, that shit's not cheap, man. He probably paid about 10 G's. 8 to 10. Then again, he might have gone in a different state where it's a lot cheaper, but he definitely paid at least 6 to 8 G's for having that done. And that area over here, that will all fill out, I think, on his end. Trust me, you don't get that done just to get a little bit of hair over here and then still have the chrome dome in the back. In fact, I would be surprised if the Blade doesn't get that done down the line. The Blade, especially when he sweats, the Blade, he's got that chrome dome. No wonder why he wears the mask. He doesn't look intimidating. He looks like a half-balded goof. So anyway, as I said earlier, it looked for a minute like Brodie Lee was giving a little shout out, a little love to his Wyatt family member, Bray Wyatt, before he hit the lariat. He gets the win. We got a little segment where Vanguard 1 was spying on Nick Jackson, recovering in a warehouse. I guess maybe it's the Hardy Confine. Maybe. I don't know if it was the Hardy Confine or the Jackson residents, but, Vanguard 1 was reporting that he is 61% recovered. Actually, you know what? It was in California, so it had to have been Nick Jackson's residence. But, yeah, I mean, you remember, you got to give me credit for this. Remember about 2 months ago, I said if Matt Hardy ends up in AEW, within 2 weeks, you're going to say, why the fuck did WWE not do, what he's doing in AEW? 2 weeks, you would realize how stupid they were to not seize this. Just the Vanguard 1 stuff. And look, I will say this, and, we'll move on to the NXT recap. Matt Hardy was talking about how this is a different dimension of Matt Hardy. That it wasn't going to be the broken universe, so to speak. His hair is reddish now for his AEW, which is fine. But after the Guevara Omega match, which was excellent, definitely go out of your way to see it. Guevara really cocky. We had the pictures, the drawings at ringside. One, I think, of Jericho. One was a Star Trek captain, and then he's making out with the Brandy Rhodes one, which was funny. And Brandy Rhodes with that look on her face, like, that was pretty funny. They announced it as the main event, so I was very curious to see what time it was going to go off the air. And I think it might have gone off the air. Well, the match ended a little early because it was over. It was only 9:41. So I'm saying to myself, okay, the Matt Hardy-Jericho confrontation is going to go after commercials 17 minutes. It's felt like a long time to go. But, I had no issues with it. But getting back to what I was going to say before, Matt Hardy talked about how this is going to be a different dimension of Broken Matt. Like, it's not going to be what we saw in TNA. It's not going to be what we saw in WWE. It's going to be like a different dimension. And, they had the confrontation. First, Vanguard 1 comes out, and Jericho calls it a piece of shit. He's calling it Vanguard like it's, like a two names, like Van Morrison or whatever, but it was funny. Matt Hardy comes out. If you want me to complain at all about this segment, you can't keep having presumed baby faces debut and confront the champion, and the first thing out of the champion's mouth is, are you with us or against us? Are you going to join the inner circle? They just did that with Moxley. So I didn't like the immediate join the inner circle. You didn't offer, a Vanguard GT. You didn't know, you know what I mean? I just felt like that was a lazy way to go about it. They could have gone a couple of, sure, under the circumstances with the coronavirus, obviously, they can't be as creative as they want to be. But, it just felt a little bit repetitive. But getting back to the Matt Hardy thing, they were going back and forth that, they reinvented themselves, but deep down inside, they're the same Chris Jericho, Matt Hardy, this and that. Matt Hardy at one point calls Jericho the whole of the ass, which I thought was funny. They had almost like a little bit of a comedy skit where Jericho says, he was like, elite, delete, elite, delete, 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 delete. And it was just, I don't know, it just felt a little bit repetitive, especially with the stuff, because you remember he did that little segment with MJF where they did the back and forth, and it felt like the stuff with Kevin Owens. Again, I'm not ripping on this segment. I thought it was fine. But, join the inner circle thing, I just felt you just did it with Moxley. Doing it again this soon, I wasn't fond of that. Now, one thing I'll also say is, I don't know if anybody out there feels the same way as me, but did it feel like anything changed with the broken character today? The way his mannerisms, his laughing, his speech, it did not feel anything. And I'm not complaining. But I remember specifically that this was going to be a reincarnation of Matt Hardy. It's going to be a totally different extension of him. And it felt like Broken Matt. I did not feel anything different than I did in Impact Wrestling. And again, let me say this again. I did not have a problem with it, but it felt like the Broken Matt from before. I feel like Matt Hardy at the end of the day is now going to do a lot of what he wanted to do in WWE, but did not get the opportunity to do so. When the Broken Universe came to WWE, they were going to expand on that, not reinvent it, but expand on that. And with the WWE bankroll behind them and the production quality, they could have really taken it to a whole new level. And it felt like WWE never really put a lot of effort into it. So I think there were a lot of things going on in the mind of Matt Hardy that he wanted to do in WWE, maybe even in NXT, but never got the opportunity to do so. So I think we probably will see more of the old Broken Matt than a totally reinvented character. And honestly, that's probably the better way to go, because there's a saying, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. There's no reason why Matt Hardy can't just expand from what he was in Impact Wrestling. Let's see what happens. But, it was funny at the end because, Matt Hardy basically tells Jericho, because Jericho takes his sunglasses off, get a good hard look at the entity that will delete the inner circle. And Matt Hardy decks Jericho. And Jericho goes down, and Jericho gets on the mic, and he says, abracadabra, Matt Hardy gets his ass kicked. And then you had Guevara attack Matt Hardy. You see a little bit of a brawl going on. Cody and Kenny Omega make the save. And that's pretty much how we go off the air. So, again, would not surprise me if tonight and tomorrow, early, you will see a lot of the same people you will see tonight have matches because of what's going on in Florida. I thought it was a fun show. Do I think it gets the 9? What was the rating? It ended up being I don't know, it was like 955 or 928 or something like that. Does it do the same as last week? I think it goes down a little bit. I would say maybe like 888. I'll give it I'll give it that. I'll say 888. You know what? Maybe I go a little higher because a lot of people did not know that Matt Hardy was going to debut last week, even though people were, wondering if Matt Hardy was going to be the exalted one. So, I'll stick with it. Even though I'm probably being a little bit low, I'll say 888. Why not? So it was a decent show. I had a lot of fun. Now, NXT, Byron Saxton and Tom Phillips are your hosts. We don't have the usual announcers. Once again, it's optional to be in the building because we had them there for Raw. Remember what I said as far as the way that WWE was going to be taping everything for Mania and for the NXT stuff. Now, I had brought this up Friday. I still think WWE made a major mistake doing WrestleMania on April 4th and April 5th. I think they should have just taped everything and aired those WrestleMania quality matches on Raw and SmackDown over the next 2-3 weeks. The sad thing about it is we will probably get those fucking matches repeated within a week. So we'll probably get that anyway. But I personally think you save them for Raw, you save them for SmackDown, you save them for NXT. At least they're doing the NXT part of it. But, it is what it is. But we had the opening match, Austin Theory versus Tyler Breeze. Austin Theory mocking Tyler Breeze with his phone. Doing the mannerisms like Tyler Breeze used to do. Since we don't have any crowd, you could hear everything in the ring. And Austin Theory saying to Tyler Breeze, I'm the future, you the past, man. I'm the future, you the past, man. Well, Tyler Breeze gets this surprising victory. I wonder how many people out there thought that Austin Theory was getting this one. I thought Austin Theory was getting this win. Tyler Breeze gets the win. It was a fun match. But again, unfortunately, when you see what was going up against it on AEW, nothing against Tyler Breeze, nothing against Austin Theory. But, kind of like more of the mainstream names. And this is what they chose to open up with NXT. Tyler Breeze, after he wins, he grabs, I guess it was Austin Theory's iPhone, and he's looking at himself with the selfies and all that stuff. But, not a bad match. Competitive. Went longer than probably it should have, but, that NXT wants to eat up some time during the night. I thought NXT was a hell of a lot better than last week. Unfortunately, though, the names on the card did not feel that strong. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it, because if they're taping NXT stuff, they taped it today, they're taping it tomorrow. They're taping WrestleMania stuff too. Now, because Undertaker AJ is going to be somewhere else, they don't have to worry about that going down in the Performance Center. They still have time to take care of that. Some states, as I brought up Monday, not every state has the crazy restrictions or the very, I don't want to say crazy, but the very, serious restrictions as other states. Ken Shamrock earlier was getting a lot of heat online because he's very frustrated that, people can't work. And, what a lot of people failed to understand, although there is, a couple hundred cases, Ken Shamrock is in, I think, the state of Nevada. And, look, Las Vegas, some other areas are very, very serious with the coronavirus right now. But there's some areas in the boondocks that really have, virtually anything going on. And you look at someone that may own a farm or somewhere, really deep south that is not in the city area and nobody's tested positive. How do you explain to those people that they can't work if nobody in that part of my friend, the language inner circle, has it? Nobody. So you can understand why some people are frustrated. Unfortunately for Ken Shamrock, he's learning that social media has turned into people living in sound bites. People type in one-liners, complaining about themselves, trying to get tweet hand jobs, bringing attention, trying to make themselves look like these unbelievable special people. And all it is you're just reading text, Seriously, it's all you're doing is reading text. That's what some people have decided to do. People have decided to live in sound bites. When I made my remark a week and a half ago about these whack jobs on a New York Facebook group about AOC and Bernie Sanders making demands about collecting unemployment when they've never paid taxes or never been on the books. How do you even determine how much they get paid? People were demanding me to give explanations on social media because I wrote this, because I said these people are whack job or this and that. Like, I don't live in sound bites, you know. A lot of people out there, like what they read on social media, they think they have the whole story. You can't do that. Ken Shamrock today learned the hard way. You cannot live on social media and sound bites. You want to express an overall general opinion, you can, but be prepared that you're dealing with an entire group of people that live in sound bites, that everything that you say, feel, and do has to be done in a tweet or a Facebook post, mostly a tweet, because you're limited to a certain number of characters. And they think they've mapped out your personality, you're this, you're that, you're this. You know, that's why I always tell everybody, you know, that's why I do these shows. That's why even the Don Tony show, Breakfast Soup gets very personal as well. I can't get personal on Mondays. It's not fair to my co-host because he doesn't get personal like that. But not only that, people on Monday do not want to hear personal stuff. It's just the way it is. I've learned that over the years. But this is my medium you get to see a little bit more of the private side of me. But if you think you're going to figure that out in 320 characters, you're fucking crazy. So, you know, we have, case in point, Killian Dane taking on Tahuti Miles. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And again, as I said earlier, you know, thank you for your service. He fought in Afghanistan and learn a little bit of his story. It's a really wonderful story. I mean, it's scary, some of the things that he had to endure. I even think he may have battled PTSD. I know that has been brought up in the past. Now, he's wrestling for a very short period of time. He got pretty much destroyed by Killian Dane today in a very short period of time. But there's a nice backstory to that. But getting back to what I said before about NXT tonight, you can almost feel that the bigger names that you would think would go up against AEW were not used because their bodies need to be reserved to tape NXT for the next 2 weeks. WrestleMania. You know, although we don't have too many NXT wrestlers wrestling at WrestleMania, if you think about it, but they were supposed to have TakeOver. In 2 weeks, we're going to have that number one contendership, which is going to be the ladder match to take on Rhea Ripley for that title. Now, if you do the math, it kind of feels now that whoever wins that ladder match may face Rhea Ripley after WrestleMania. Before, if I remember correctly, wasn't that the night before WrestleMania, which I thought was stupid because you know Rhea Ripley is not going to lose that belt going into Mania to take on Charlotte. So you almost feel like, okay, maybe that ladder match to determine the number one contender to the women's title, that match should take place after WrestleMania. So, you know, what's going on with the coronavirus probably is going to improve NXT over the next 3 weeks. That's what it feels like to me. But unfortunately, because matches are going to be taped now for future episodes of NXT, what we got tonight are names that are not necessarily names that are going to keep you glued to your television. Killian Dane, not bad, but not one of my guys that I'm going to stop and watch wrestle. Tahuti Miles got squashed. We don't know anything as far as his in-ring career yet to really invest time into him. Austin Theory is a future star, absolutely. Tyler Breeze, I don't even need to explain. Then you had Tony Nese versus Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes, I've said before, maybe because of his chest hair and my old school photos kind of disturbed me a little bit. Maybe his chest hair brings me back bad memories of yours truly. But Cameron Grimes, I just can't get into. He's talented. The high knee, beating Tony Nese today is impressive. The guy could work. But unfortunately, though, there are some guys that are talented that'll never be a draw. I always brought up Off-Broadway. Remember Stephen DeAngelis, Horshack? It used to do the ECW, announcing of the matches. Love that guy. Really, really classy guy. I had the privilege of going to some Off-Broadway plays that he produced. A lot of people don't know that. I became friendly with him in the mid-2000s, and he used to do a lot of off-Broadway work on the side, and he invited me a couple of times to see some of the off-Broadway plays. And I remember on my hotline, especially my hotline, talking about how you saw some people on, and basically one of the shows that I saw, basically what it was is you have Broadway plays and you have main stars that appear in these Broadway plays, and they'll have like secondary people. So this way, if somebody can't appear because of a scheduling conflict or an illness or something, you have somebody as a backup plan. And that person might not be well known at all, might just be a fill-in. And what they did was the one that I remember clearly is they did skits. It was like 5, 6, 7 different skits. And all of these secondary people who would be kind of fill-ins for the major stars you would see on Broadway, they got to act in roles and they would be the headliner. And you would see all this off-Broadway stuff. And I was left saying to myself, my God, these people in many cases are even better than what you would see on Broadway. Problem is that they never got that fame. They may have been lacking here in a little style or a little substance, but some of them could damn well perform. But you knew or you understood why some people were always going to be off Broadway. That's how I always feel about Cameron Grimes. I just can't picture Cameron Grimes, nothing against him personally. I just, as a fan, can never appear to see him go on the main roster, get any type of a big storyline and winning a belt. I just don't see it. And unfortunately, the match with Tony Nese was fine, but, you know, to me, it was like, oh, fucking well. Next, we were supposed to have Aaliyah versus Xia Li, and the winner of that match was going to be added to the ladder match to determine number one contendership for the women's title. And basically, God bless everybody out there that likes to follow my lead, not only in stuff that I do on the shows, but even things that I say online. But she did her best Nancy Kerrigan impersonation. Somebody attacked Xia Li in the back. And, you know, I was thinking of Tom Hanks. You know, I know he's got the virus. But I was saying to myself today, there's no crying in wrestling. And Xia Li, and I am a big fan of hers. Anybody that listens to the shows, watches it on a weekly basis, you know I'm a big fan of hers. But the over-the-top wailing, you know, my knee. The only thing missing today was Nancy Kerrigan's why. Remember when Nancy Kerrigan got hit by Tanya Harding? Why? I mean, wailing. And I'm saying to myself, there's no crying in wrestling. That's a shot on Tom Hanks. Remember, there's no crying in baseball. So, so somebody takes out Xia Li. But we get the return of Io Shirai. Io Shirai makes quick work of Aaliyah. So Io Shirai advances. Io Shirai right now is my favorite to win the whole thing with the ladder match. I might change my mind last week. But now the storyline is with Xia Li. Why? Whatever. Dexter Lumis coming to NXT soon. I know a lot of people out there are looking forward to that. Dexter Lumis, again, God bless these podcasters and webmasters out there, claim they watch everything. Who the fuck is Dexter Lumis? Who the fuck is Dexter Lumis? The best. Later on, when Malcolm Bivens brought out his team right away, who are these black guys? My God, so stupid. The level of stupid on social media, I laugh at it. And the best part about it is, I understand young and naive wrestling fans doing that, but when you have adults, grown adults, very grown adults that you could actually say are senior citizens now, tweeting like that. I brought it up before. I remember being 12 years old or 14 years old in freshman year of high school, and you'd have the local goof that would like make these dumb jokes. thinking that he was so funny. And come on, guy. And he would just say these things, and everybody would look at each other like, oh, ew. The girls, ew. Oh, what's wrong with you? Grow up. There are people on social media that I come across every week that are less mature than the 14-year-old goof that I saw in freshman year in high school. Seriously. You just look at Revenge of the Nerds. I know it's an outdated movie, but go watch Revenge of the Nerds and then look at some of the tweets that you read online. Honestly, if tweets could talk, after some of the stuff that these people write, I almost picture the virus. What was that nerd that would laugh like that? These people, grown-ass adults, writing this stuff. Again, no wonder why almost all of them don't have a boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, significant other. How do you turn around and write the stuff that you do and you say, like Tony, like a retarded Tony Atlas. Look at that. Come on, man. At least try to act like you're educated. Do a simple Google search. Who's Dexter Loomis? Sorry, I'm getting a little wacky. I'm a little tired right now. We went longer, but, you know, work has not been as crazy in my office. A lot of cleaning, you know, and I'm scratching my nose. I think I'm just a little itchy tonight, not doing cocaine. No painkillers tonight either. Painkillers make your nose itchy too. Sometimes you could tell when I took pain medicine a couple hours before because I'll keep going like this. Not because I got boogers or anything like that, but boogers. Keith Lee comes out. He wants to apologize to Dominik Dijakovic. I don't make that mistake with his name anymore. So Dijakovic's music interrupts. I don't want an apology. I want that. He wants the title. Damian Priest with the low-key voice. Damian Priest is going to be a star, man. I've been saying that for a long time. He's got something. He's not just the ability and the looks and the voice, but, man, every time I hear him talk, I think of Loki. Loki, I am not your father. Damian Priest comes out. How's the leg? How's the back? How's the head? How's this? So we kind of have a three-way, you know, working around with those guys. And that's going to be a match you're going to see on NXT coming up really soon. People are laughing. Seriously, come on, man. Am I making it up? The sad thing is, and I'm going to say it, I don't care who I piss off. There's some people listening that do the very same thing. And you don't want to hurt the feelings of others because you do the same thing. I get it. You know, we all like to goof once in a while. But there's some people out there that have totally given up. I hate to say it like this. They have given up on any type of social life or any type of life outside of the confines of walls. And the likes and the tweets and the Facebook things and the retweets and the responses, you know, that is enough for them. You know, I feel wanted. I am a popular person. Now, if I die tomorrow, I can die happy. I feel wanted. That's what it comes across. But again, you see people that when they're not getting the attention that they need or crave, then it comes into Revenge of the Nerds. And you see some of this stuff written. And we're not talking about 14-year-olds, 20-year-olds, even 25-year-olds. You're talking about older people. And after I read some of this stuff, like I said, if a tweet could talk, that's what you would hear. Enough of that. No more. We won't do that laugh again for a month. I promise. So, Joe Lane is asking me if I'm mentally stable. Of course I'm mentally stable. We're making fun of them. Not making fun of us. Making fun of them. Now, somebody right now is saying, who is them? Just, it's across social media. You see people, you know, it's there. Let me make this perfectly clear. It's not just wrestling fans. It's all across the world. It could have to do with virus. It could have to do with Trump. It could have to do in the UK. It could have to do with Australia. It could have to do with the wrestling fan. It's just the world. The world is just, a lot of people have just turned into whack jobs. You know, and that's why you see these idiots, you know, in the Walmart. I didn't want to do the, you know, I'm not going to use my tongue thing. You saw the guy in Walmart that was going across the aisle and do it. Why? Because he wants to post it on social media. And what was disturbing about that, you know what I'm talking about? Even that girl, you all saw this girl. I paid no attention. I didn't post anything because if you don't want to give somebody attention, you don't fucking post it and say, don't give this person attention. You just fucking gave that person attention. But I'll bring it up now. Remember the girl that was on the plane? She looked pretty hot, blonde hair, pink fingernails, and she's doing some coronavirus challenge, and she takes the toilet seat and licks the toilet seat. You know, why are they doing this? Because there are tons of people that are putting the like button. So again, when I talk about this, I'm not singling out wrestling fans or podcast. Only time I single out podcasters is when they reveal that they don't do any research or don't watch the stuff that they claim that they watch. But as far as the dopiness, that's across the whole globe. It's not just wrestling. So anyway, attention seekers, that's what it is. So anyway, so Io Shirai takes her spot. And wins, so she's now in the ladder match. Keith Lee, Dijakovic, and Damian Priest setting up a three-way. Adam Cole could not have his celebration, being the longest reigning NXT champion because of what's going on with coronavirus, so they showed him at a poolside, which is fine. Next, we had Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch taking on Shane Thorne and Brandon Vink. You know, Vink and Thorne were the two guys that fought the Street Profits on Monday. So in case they look familiar, or maybe you didn't watch NXT, because I think they might have even mentioned it as well. But Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, I mean, their push, their status is not going to be diverted right now, although Shane Thorne and Brandon Vink are impressive, without a doubt. Brandon Vink, that guy, I wish they could add a little bit of style to his makeup, because that guy's got something. And trust me when I tell you, I'm not trying to take credit for this. I'm not trying to exaggerate it. But how many of you out there have heard any other shows really focusing on Brandon Vink? You might have heard it on Raw recaps and stuff, but that guy is a name that I'm not sure where he goes. I'm not sure where he goes right now. But he's got something. He's got something. Doesn't have my total attention yet, but that guy's got something. Keep him on your radar. So, next, we had Kaden Carter. She took on Candice LeRae for another spot in the ladder match, and I believe there might be one spot left after today, but Candice LeRae does get the win, so she advances. You know, an okay match. It was nothing, you know, special. It was like 3-4 minutes long, but it was not a bad match. So next, we got the main event. And in case you haven't figured it out, both NXT and AEW went off the air tonight. Not a match, but actually a segment. We have Matt Riddle defeating Roderick Strong. Great match. They talked about Pete Dunne not being there. You know, again, WWE petrified to say coronavirus. I don't know why. You would think, and this is something that WWE is really fucking missing the boat. Really missing the boat. Even AEW, I think, is missing the boat too. And I just thought about this now. I mean, I thought about it before, but it's really hitting me right now. And I wasn't planning on saying it to him, but I'm going to say it right now. And I think it's something you all will agree with me on. Especially that WWE has so many PSAs. Shout out to Dream 101. Should WWE stop having women crying? You know, like Xia Li earlier. Yeah, you know, look, I've talked about this with Charlotte. I've talked about it with Sasha. I talked about it with others. There's a lot of women that cry when they lose. And look, it's a human emotion. You know, it is an emotion that women tend to do more than men. I mean, come on. You hear guys say, I haven't cried in 20 years. Yeah, okay. You cry when you don't get 35 likes on a post. But, you know, women cry more. I mean, there are movies where they say these are movies that make women cry. There's, you know, a lot of men find it too macho to cry. So I think that's why women crying is more accepted. But, I always, look at it and I always just say, there's no cry. Look, you get whacked on the knee, if it's a pull apart or if it's a match, you don't see somebody who's working the knee in the ring. You don't see that person going, ouch, it hurts. Like they grimace in pain and they sell it. But for some reason, when it's a backstage segment, it's like, the tears are streaming down the eyes. A little consistency here. But I don't have too much of a problem with the complaining. But that wailing over the top today, my knee, why? So, getting back to Matt Riddle, they mentioned that Pete Dunne could not be there. And this is something that really bothers me now. Especially that so many wrestlers are role models for young people. Especially that so many wrestlers are doing these PSAs, whether it's on TV or it's social media or it's little video clips they do online. They know a lot of young people look up to them. So WWE, even AEW to an extent, why the fuck are your wrestlers not having PSAs during the broadcast telling people, stay home, coronavirus is serious? I know why they can't, because they look like fucking hypocrites. You're telling people to stay home and meanwhile you're not. But seriously, with all of the PSAs that WWE does especially, they're petrified to say the word coronavirus. Right fucking now, you could have all of these people, Roman Reigns and others, fucking doing all these crazy PSAs, instilling it. It's not just don't be a bully, be a star. It's stay the fuck home. And they're not capitalizing on that. And I that pisses me off. That really pisses me off. Because we're talking about a health issue that those young people could fucking kill a relative over. But hey, who am I? I'm just a goof, right? So anyway, Matt Riddle beats Roderick Strong. After the match is over, Malcolm Bivens comes out. Bivens Enterprises has a new team, Rinku Singh and Saurav Gujar. Again, God bless those people online. 2 more black wrestlers WWE's pushing. You'd think the names would give it away. Rinku Singh or Saurav Gujar, I think of it. Gujar. Not even black. But, they came out, they attacked Matt Riddle. It's to introduce them to WWE. You almost feel that some members of the current NXT roster are going to be graduating to Raw and SmackDown in the very near future. So these two guys are to plant the seed and start something. Look, I agree if some people say, well, maybe, because they're in Florida and because of what's going on, because maybe they need to put them on TV because they don't have too many options right now. That could very well be it too. But I know digital, they didn't even look black. People think I'm crazy. Just do social media search. Just search NXT results. And you can't even type in their names, and you can't even type in Bivens, because these geniuses that claim they watch NXT on a regular basis didn't even know Bivens' name. You just got to type in Matt Riddle. Do a Matt Riddle search and search, do it by date, and just look at the stupidity that was being written tonight. Whatever. No stupidity here, other than my goofy laughing earlier and that horrible Sting thing. But anyway, so they attacked Matt Riddle. And look, I don't know if Pete Dunne is back overseas. I tend to think not, because if he's stuck overseas and cannot fly back to the States, he might be there for a month or two. And something tells me that Pete Dunne may be here in the United States. I know they said tonight because of the circumstances he's not here. Just be a little bit fucking more specific. If he's in the UK or he's wherever he is overseas and he cannot come back to the States because of it, it would be fucking nice if they would just say it. So at least we realize that for the foreseeable future, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne cannot defend those titles. So let's see what happens. I can't do the Affleck thing now. I haven't done that in years. And it is late over here. It's 12:30 in the morning. People do live upstairs from me. So Friday night a little bit earlier. And actually, you know what? I can't do it at home, but I'll do it in my car tomorrow. No recording, though. I haven't done that, my God, 12, 13 years? For people that don't know, probably the greatest impersonation I ever did was the Affleck duck. When he screams at the top of his lungs, goes, Affleck. I don't know why, but I just did it one time, and it was just spot on. So, anyway, Benjamin, I think you're talking about Rinku Singh. He does look a little bit like he could be the brother of Jinder Mahal. One of them kind of looks a little bit like a relative of Mansoor. Look, I'm not going to lie. I have not watched much of them, if anything, maybe one match total, in passing. I will definitely do my research and, see what they're all about. I know that they got some pretty damn good talent, and, they're not, really that, I don't even want to say that they're green. WWE just had them attack one half of the tag team champs and Matt Riddle, by the way, I should add. So they obviously do have some substance about it. So, but anyway, basically NXT closes out Triple H in the ring, brings out Gargano, Ciampa, and says that in 2 weeks, he's going to get a warehouse. He's going to find an empty warehouse. He's going to get a ring, put a ring in there, put a referee in there, and they are going to brawl and tear it up. And that is going to be it. And after that brawl, it's done. And if it continues, that neither one of them will be in NXT. And basically, Ciampa says that in 2 weeks, NXT carries on without Johnny wrestling. Gargano says the opposite. In 2 weeks, we will have technically their takeover match. And I'm looking forward to it, man. I brought it up on Monday. And again, although this Wednesday show is not about Raw or SmackDown, I think WrestleMania is going to be better than people think, even though there's not going to be crowds, and I'll tell you why. And I touched on this Monday. I think the Gargano-Ciampa brawl is going to be a perfect example of it. Even when I go back to the Attitude Era, you used to have a lot of 24/7 brawls. And even some of my favorite brawls of all time, one time I think it was Hardcore Holly and Al Snow, they brawled into a lake. They brawled in the snow. You go back and you watch those. When they're brawling outside, the crowd noise is very muted, almost to nothing. Most of the volume that you heard was what you saw outside. So when you had wrestlers brawling outside, brawling in the back, brawling in the river, the snow, wherever it was, almost all of the audio that you heard was them and the sounds, not the crowd. So when you see some of these backstage brawls and you see some of what's going on, it's going to have more of an old school Attitude Era feel to it. Sure, having no crowd reaction is going to be a little bit awkward, especially after the match is over. But when somebody would hit a spot, you would hear the crowd, roar a little bit. But it's not as much as you think. So when you think about Undertaker, AJ Styles, you think of Edge, Randy Orton, you think of Ciampa and Gargano. And these brawls go 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And if they're very creative about it, you will forget, for the most part, that there's no crowd there. I'm telling you, remember what I say. You might think I'm nuts for saying that, but I love the fact that this stuff is being pre-recorded. I said it last week. I said it the week before. WrestleMania NXT should be pre-recorded. because the level of creativity goes up 100 notches. You record that a week early, you could edit out anything that is crap. If something gets botched, you could immediately stop recording and redo it. I know a lot of people out there don't like the fact of things being spliced together and this and that, but this allows them to really make this as good as it possibly could be. Hell, they could record part of the match, take a break for a half an hour, few minutes. Of course, you don't want to do that because you tighten up. But there's so many things, and they could do something and realize later on, oh, you know what? We should do this. And they can add something to that. So I think recording this stuff is going to really make it that much better. I'm not one that likes recorded stuff because once I know spoilers, it diminishes my interest in it. Now, I understand why some people like this idea that WWE, even AEW, if they re-recorded stuff, they should do two outcomes. They should record a finish of Ciampa beating Gargano. As soon as the match is over, they redo the last two spots. Gargano beats Ciampa. This way, if it gets leaked out, there's two finishes. We don't know which one it's going to be. And you won't know until they air it live. I like that a little bit. Oh, no. Benjamin is saying to me, don't look up the spoilers. Are you fucking kidding me? Seriously. You know, it's like, best way I could put it, and this is a bad example, but I think all of you out there agree with me on this. Best way I could put it, you're dating someone. Married, kind of fucked up. You're dating someone. Now, me, since I'm heterosexual, I'll use a girl, for example. I'm dating my girlfriend. And we're at, I don't know, we're at a store, and as we're like walking down the mall, some girl's walking the opposite way with a mini skirt on, her tits are hanging out, crazy makeup, looks like a fucking unbelievable porn star. Now, you know, you're with your girl, so you're going to no-sell it, you're going to look down purposely, but you're going to do one of these. Like, you're just going to glance. That's how it is with spoilers with me. I mean, I could be a fucking priest. I could just not like men or women. And just, you know, I only, you know, it just, if the spoiler is there online, I have to look. That's just the way I am. I have to look. Now, I will say this, for my Patreon family, we do have a problem. And the problem is what happens if some of these spoilers start leaking out? You know, we do a predictions contest every month. And, you know, I'm not sure how we handle WrestleMania yet. I'm not sure. Because of the simple fact that if we start doing this contest and then some of the outcomes get revealed to get spoiled. And let's also be honest, a lot of people's spoilers are wrong. So if spoilers come out, what do? Do we just get rid of the match? Do we do it? So I haven't figured out how we're going to deal with this, everybody. We obviously, and you can't just tell everybody on Patreon, don't pay attention to those spoilers. If the spoilers come out, you know, it's going to be really, really difficult to do a contest. So I'm going to figure it out. We'll figure it out. But so that's how NXT went off the air. Both shows, excellent, you know, for under the circumstances. NXT, obviously, you know, you had Dijakovic and Damian Priest and Keith Lee there, but they didn't have a match because they're probably going to have one tomorrow, or maybe they had one earlier. And, you know, they're saving them for, you know, another match. So we didn't have the real star quality in the ring having matches tonight. So once again, AEW dominates in the ratings. What did I say earlier? 888 for AEW. NXT definitely improves. I think NXT definitely goes over 600,000 this week, but not by much. I would say maybe 622,000, 622. And even that, I'm being generous. Yeah, you know, yeah, I'm thinking about those matches that aired today, and man, the matches, other than Riddle and Roderick Strong, nothing really. You know what? I'm going to change that. I don't normally change my predictions, but I'm going to say NXT. Boy, 622 sounds like a lot, but no, I'll stick with it. Fuck it. I'm giving him too much already. In fact, that might have even been my prediction last week. So, 888 for for AEW, 622 for NXT. So, that Gargano segment, God bless people who are formerly in WWE or still work for them that thought that segment was beautiful last week. I thought it was fine too. But when you eat up fucking over half your show and you have another wrestling product, it reminded me, last week when I said halfway through there, it reminded me of the first hour of Nitro from 1999. I know almost everybody out there had no idea what I was talking about. But that infamous episode of Nitro where the first hour had no wrestling in it. We turn on wrestling, we want to see matches. We want to see storylines and swerves and segments and this and that, but there's got to be a nice blend of it. And that last week just felt like filler. Pissed off a lot of people. So NXT should get a little bit of a rebound. If they don't get a rebound tonight, especially that we know it's going to lead into some takeover matches, and they advertise Triple H being on top, I'll stick with my 622. I'll stick with that. So I want to give a shout out to Sam Miskovic from England. Thank you for the very kind email, my friend. And also, I don't know if you all out there have ever heard of a podcaster by the name of Adam Hughes. He has a podcast called the Hughesy, I think it is. He lives overseas, I think in the UK. He talks about wrestling, music, and a few other things. He reached out to me and he basically said, DT, I need to, have the most viewed podcast episode I've ever done, and I need you on it. So I'm going to be on his podcast tomorrow. It is going to be video. Recently, I don't remember. I think he might have even had Kev on recently. But he reached out to me, and I'm kidding about the ratings thing. He reached out to me and he wanted me to be on his podcast, and I told him that tomorrow I actually will have some free time tomorrow night. So tomorrow we're going to record it at 7 o'clock. I asked him what's going to be on the agenda. He wants to talk about infamous wrestling rumors from the 80s and 90s. So I'm cool with it. I'm going to go into it, with open mind and not preparing. And, I don't know if it's going to lead into any discussion about Benoit or anything like that, but I'm definitely looking forward to being on. So once that's recorded and it drops online, I will let you know. It will not be live online. I asked him earlier. He pre-records and then puts it online a couple of weeks later. He does some of them in the bag. He's had Vince Russo on and a few others. But it's Adam Hughes. And if you want to catch him on Twitter, it's at the Hughesy, I think it is. TheHughesy. So Hughesy. By the way, I want to mention this too. See this shirt? It's Matt Hardy, All Delete Wrestling. Yes, we've all said All Delete Wrestling. Nobody can say, oh, I came up with that idea. That apparently is the most selling t-shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees right now. It's the biggest selling shirt right now. Now, last week, I gave away about 10, 12 shirts on here. Now, just let everybody know, it's going to be a little while before you get your shirts because Pro Wrestling Tees is located in Illinois, and they have that stay-at-home order right now. They are not allowed to work. So T-shirt orders are going to be about 2 weeks behind. So I got everybody's requests. I will definitely get in touch with everybody the next day or two, and the orders will be in for everybody's shirts. But, you just expect a little bit extra time to get them because of them, needing extra time to put them up. So that's the deal. But yeah, that t-shirt right now is the number one selling shirt on Pro Wrestling Tees, which is pretty cool. Phil, we got that tease tonight, hinting Killer Cross, but, until he comes out, you know what I mean? I will not fall into that trap that a lot of other people have done over the years. Granted, a lot of them had to do with TNA. You know, I remember August 1st warning was the greatest one. I remember everybody insisting that it was this person or this person or this person. You know, everybody now, yeah, a lot of people, you know, insisted that the Exalted One was going to be Luke Harper. But a lot of people also thought Matt Hardy and others. Now, look, is there anybody else on the horizon that NXT is bringing in that is not been revealed yet other than him? No, not really. But I guarantee you, those two black guys that we got tonight, I don't think anybody expected them to come in. My point is, let's get him on TV. Thinking of Mustafa Ali vignettes, that round circle of light that was appearing on SmackDown. How many weeks did that go on? That was still going on. I came up here on Friday's Don Tony show from like 3 or 4 weeks ago. It might have even been the Valentine's week. And I said, that's Mustafa Ali's signal. Do you know still to this day, there are people out there that think that vignette you see on SmackDown is Killer Kross? So, you know, I'm just saying, like, until he actually debuts, I'm going to sit, I'm going to wait, enjoy the tease, enjoy the vignettes. 3 weeks ago, I said, you see the blonde hair chick? You only saw the back of the head? You know, it kind of reminded me of Scarlett Bordeaux. So, not trying to sound like an asshole, but to the Donzilla Army, these vignettes we're seeing is old news. 3 weeks ago, we pretty much said, that looks like Killer Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux debuting together as a duo. And it kind of feels the same way. I have not been back on the Greg Gutfeld show for the simple reason that they're not taping right now to a live audience. We were going to go about 3 or 4 weeks ago, if you remember. And I'll be honest with you, I am so glad that I didn't go. When we went the last time, you know, we hung out with everybody. And I told you how wonderful Tyrus was. I mean, just really genuinely good guy. You have no idea how nice that man was that night. But we hung out with everybody beforehand. We hung out with everybody, you know, during the show. And then after I went to Ted's, which is Ted Turner's restaurant in the city, very congested. We took the bus there, but we took a cab home. My point is, this coronavirus had to have been in the city for about 4 or 5 weeks, at least. This stuff was brewing. You know, the people were in the city and they were getting contaminated. They didn't even know it. So I don't know if I would have been contaminated, but I'm glad I didn't go. And look, Friday on the Don Tony show, Mish and I are going to have a ball. Like I said, we're going to do a marathon show. Marathon might end up only being 2 hours. But the idea is that I know a lot of people out there, you know, wanted us to do like a little like marathon, raise some money. And you know me, I'm always transparent with everything. You know, there's a lot of people out there that say, oh, PayPal me money, Cash App me this, or send me money for this, or send me money so I could do this. And you have no proof if any of that money is really going to what they say it is. Most times it goes right in their pocket. There's a story that I would love to tell. Maybe I'll tell it on Friday, that we caught somebody online lying about raising money for it. It's nobody recent, but we tell a story. It'll make you so insistent that any money that you donate to anybody for any reason, you always want to insist on having some type of proof or documentation to back it up. I learned my lesson a long time ago with that. But, you know, when we say that we're going to put money, proceeds somewhere, receipts come up, everything. So it'll be completely transparent. But my thinking Friday is this. Mish and I will probably guarantee doing an hour. Definitely an hour. And then every time, like, contribution comes in, like when we hit like a 5 or a 10 minute period with no contributions come in, that's when we finish. So every 5 or 10 minutes, you know, if contributions still come in, and again, it's, you know, we're going to split this right down the middle and, you know, going to give the proceeds towards, you know, to COVID-19 relief. We wanted to do wrestlers and promotions and indie wrestlers. The problem is that how do you pick and choose certain people? So it was kind of like a tough decision, but I always got to give Kevin Matthews the credit on that one. And you've seen him in Impact Wrestling and others, but he's the one that really started to make that COVID-19 relief fund, make it aware of people. And it's, I did a lot of research on it. And I think 98% of the money raised is going directly to help people. Sure, this big government package that is going to be approved in the next day or two is going to help a lot of people as well. Every legal American is going to get a check. You know, even people that worked off the books is going to get a check, which will help everybody. So there will be some relief coming. But for almost everybody watching this out there and friends that we know and family and relatives, it's not going to be enough. So, you know, I don't like having to pick and choose. So sending it to the relief fund and they divvy it up however. And how much money do you think we're going to raise? Seriously, you know, a couple of hundred, but any little bit helps. And it gives Mish and I an excuse to give everybody out there who is not a patron a little slice of what Breakfast Soup is all about. So it's a very special show that we do. It gets very real, very raw and personal sometimes. And I also need to clarify that it will be video. Mish and I will both be on video Friday. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I brought up the idea of bringing on some other podcasters as well. Two problems with that. Number one, some podcasters started inviting other podcasters on here that, you know, I'm like, it's my fucking show. If I don't invite certain people, nobody in it, but my point is that, you know, when I see people write, oh, you know, you should go on. Oh, it would be cool if you go on. And I'm like, wait a minute. Don't fucking be inviting people for me. If I didn't invite certain people, it's, you know, it's because I haven't had a chance to yet, or I don't want to. You know, I don't want to. Some people out there wanted to come on, not because they wanted to raise money, not because they wanted to be part of a worthy cause. No, but they wanted to get exposure. That's not what this is about. Also, if anybody's familiar with vMix software, which is what I use for the podcast, I only have the capability of connecting to one person as far as video goes. And I'm not going to start doing Discord and this and that because, you know, on Mondays, my co-host does Discord. And when that audio is coming in from a different computer and the codec doesn't match my mixer, then it goes into my main computer and then that audio gets distorted and it causes my audio to get distorted. I have nothing against the Discord channel. You know, Mish and I split the expense down the middle so that channel could run. But if it was up to me, any shows that I'm involved in, I would not be using Discord at all. It fucks up the configuration. You know, it is what it is. But the thing is that vMix, unless I want to drop $350 more, it only allows me to put one connection. That connection is going to Mish. So, and that's it. You know, like I said, I know a lot of people out there would love to see, you know, other shows go full video or go back to full audio. And, you know, we've already touched on that. It's not happening. What you see is what you get. The only difference is in the very near future, I'm going to be adding a lot more content on this channel. There's going to be shows talking about, you know, politics, wrestling, non-WWE stuff, non-wrestling stuff. You know, right now with the coronavirus, Don Tony show, I was doing it like every 2 Fridays or every 2 or 3 weeks. Seems like that will be every Friday for the foreseeable future. The response that I got this past Friday was incredible. I hope everybody understood the moral of the story, talking about my father at 9 years old in Italy and my uncle sacrificing that sheep. You know, that was that they had nothing. And my father realized that, you know, if he's got to work 3 jobs to give his family what they need, that's what he was going to do. No shortcuts, no nothing, especially the story about the newspaper, you know. So I will never shit on anybody's success. However, when I see, you know, Madonna and others in these $15,000 tubs with roses everywhere trying to tell us what to fucking do and what not to fucking do, they're in their bubbles already. So usually I don't take advice from a blue check mark especially not all blue check, but famous millionaires, I do not take advice from, because I guarantee you, for a majority of them out there, coronavirus has not altered their lifestyle in any way, shape, or form. You know, you do see some actors and actresses getting hit with it, because some of them do go out to restaurants. Some of them do shake people's hands. Some of them do. But, you know, the idea that they're just walking around like everyday folk living the same life that we all do, and they got sick just like us. You know, most of these multimillionaires are in their bubbles, and they want to tell us who to elect. They want to tell us what to do, what not to do. You know, the only person that affected me the right way this week was Danny DeVito. You know, that got to me, you know, because it is true. Somebody young could kill him. Young relatives could kill him, because he's older now and he's got some health issues. And, you know, that's why a lot of people need to understand, and we're going to cut this now because it's getting very late. When you see people on spring break not taking the advice, or you see them in Louisiana, understand something. Their mentality would have been the same mentality as me when I was 20. The idea is, you know, it's almost like when you're a young guy, and you go out to a club and you got all these chicks that look like sluts, and you're like, hey, you know, I'm going to pick somebody up tonight. I ain't wearing a rubber. You know, if I get fucking gonorrhea, get a shot, you know, I'll be fine, blah, 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 whatever. You know, I'll pull out. You know, like, that was the stupidity that I came across when I was 20 years old and me and my friends going out to clubs. Was I as stupid as them? In some ways, absolutely. So I think a lot of these young people out there see that anybody who's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, for the most part, you know, unless a rare circumstance, or you vape where your lungs all fucked up, you're very, very, almost impossible that you're going to get very, very sick from this. You might get some mild conditions. You might get a little bit of a cold or a cough. You know, to some people out there, getting a nice fucking piece of ass and getting laid at spring break might be worth it. You know, seriously, some people think that way. And I think back when I was 20, me and my friends probably would have thought in that same mindset. So a lot of these people took the risk saying, hey, you know, if I fucking get sick, at least I know it's not going to kill me. Only like 0.1% for 20-year-olds, you know. So I'll take the chance. Problem is, they don't realize, they come home to their mommies, their daddies, their grandmommies, you know, they might fucking kill them. So anyway, I'm out of here, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the night. Please, I ask you kindly, before you leave, if you liked this episode, hit the like button on the way out. For the people who like me underground, but still have this bitterness that, oh, I got to go back to audio only, it ain't happening. So if you don't hit the like button on the way out, you ain't spiting me anyway. Because right now, unless I am dead or I get a stroke and I can't fucking talk, you know, I'm not going anywhere with this video. It's staying. So, you know, I appreciate if you hit the like button on the way out, because it helps get me a little bit more exposure out there. Helps create a little bit of momentum, and maybe somebody out there that never heard or saw the show before might like it. And I thank you all for your support. Very much appreciated. I will be back next week with your next installment of Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite. It's going to be interesting next week, but the week after is going to be the big week as far as Wednesday goes. Because, again, they're advertising 2 weeks from now for NXT TakeOver to really kick in. So something tells me AEW is planning some big stuff 2 weeks from now as well. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the ratings are tomorrow. I'm sure on Twitter, if my rating gets close, you will see a tweet from it. And make sure, Friday night, if you're around, you're not busy, stop by this channel, 10:15 p.m. We're going to start, maybe 5 minutes early, probably start at 10:15. I will have birthday cake here with a candle. I actually do, as you saw on my Twitter, I have the question mark candle. So it's not from Mangrovia, but, you know, we will have some fun. And it'll be great, man. I don't know how my fiance is going to feel about it because she's going to be here in the other room. I'm sure she did not think that I was going to be spending my birthday being on YouTube with the Donzilla Army. But, she knows that we plan on having a fucking blockbuster, memorable episode Friday. And I definitely want to have fun. So everyone be well. Much love as always. Thank God this is 3 shows in a row. No issues. No video issues, no audio issues. And Jesus Christ, it ended up being a cable. So, and a little configuration. But everyone be well. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.